Good evening and welcome to the Castro Valley Unified District School Board. I will call the meeting to order. Is there approval of the agenda?
I move for approval of the agenda.
I second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Trustee Raymond,
Yes.
Trustee Howard,
Yes.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
Vice President Kuziak.
Yes, President Whitaker.
I will vote yes. The motion passes 5-0. Amy, are there any comments for closed session items? No? All right. Well, we will recess to closed session and we will return at 6 p.m. We look forward to seeing you then. Adjourned. Hello and good evening and welcome to the Castro Valley Unified School Board meeting. We're so glad to have you all here today. We are reconvening to open session and we will report out. We did make some decisions, take action in closed session. So I will read for our stipulated expulsions per education code 48918, case 08/2022-23, case 09/22-23, and case 10/22-23. There was a first motion by Vice President Kuziak, followed by a second for Trustee Adams, and the motion passed 5-0. Now, our next item that we did pass in closed session, I do want to take a point of privilege really quickly. For those of you who are not aware, last week we made the announcement that our very own Dr. Jason Reinman was selected to be the superintendent of Hayward Unified School District. And Dr. Reinman has been a very integral part of moving our culture forward in one that is welcoming for all students, regardless of their identities, and helping us move forward to creating safer, better spaces for all. And so we will celebrate you some more. Don't worry, this isn't it. You aren't leaving us till July, so you're not allowed to go anywhere. just yet. But because of that, that means that we had some openings. And in order to ensure that we had a great succession plan, we made some appointments in closed session. We are very honored that Nia Rosici, who is currently our Director of Elementary, will be appointed to Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. Nia, if you would please come, can we have you say something? I want to say that I did make the motion, followed by Trustee Raymond, and it did pass 5-0. So, welcome.
I just want to say I am thrilled to be in Castro Valley Unified School District. It is my honor to have served for the last 5 years as the Director of Elementary Education, and I can't wait to continue in big footsteps because I've had an amazing boss in Jason Ryman. And so I know that the work that we do is so important. I am dedicated to this district and excited about the opportunities. So thank you so much. I love the 5-0. And I'm just super proud to be in Castro Valley Unified School District because we work hard and we really care about students in this community. So thank you.
We look forward to working with you. He'll keep your seat warm for a couple months, and then we'll have you join us. Thank you so much. Now that she is appointed, that means the Director of Elementary is an opening. And by a motion by Vice President Kuziak, followed by a second by Trustee Adams, motion passed 5-0. Our very own Affy Skloot will now be the Director of Elementary. She is not here tonight, but we want to give her a round of applause. We also have a current vacancy of special education. Sorry, it's not, his last name's not written. We decided, motion by Vice President Kuziak, also by a second by Trustee Adams, motion passed 5-0. For the Coordinator of Special Education, we have appointed Sam Brewer. Those were a lot of decisions, but we have no more until later. Now with that, Trustee Raymond, if you could please read our mission statement.
All right, I'm here for you guys. Here we go. All right. We work together to provide safe, challenging, innovative, and culturally responsive learning environments to ensure that all of our students feel respected and supported to achieve their unique academic potential and explore their individual talents.
Thank you, Trustee Raymond. I will now read public comment instructions. The board respects and encourages the public to comment on matters on the board agenda and within the board's jurisdiction. The board fully supports civil discourse and requests that everyone respect each other and their point of view. Individuals who would like to address the board must complete a request to speak form, then the back on the right-hand side, they're blue, form, or via the Google form at www.cv.k12.ca.us/public comment/ and submit it prior to the start of the agenda item. At the discretion of the board president, speaker cards may be accepted after the start of the agenda item. Your name will be called and you will either come up to the podium to speak or be unmuted during your turn and be allowed to make public comments. After the allotted time, you will then be remuted. Individual speakers are also asked to limit their comments to no more than 3 minutes, unless the board decides otherwise. There are up to 30 minutes of public comment allowed on each agenda item. With board consensus, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed. This meeting is being recorded to prepare the official minutes. To comply with the Brown Act, the board may listen to comments from the speakers under public comment, but can neither discuss nor take action on the issues presented. With that, we will get to the fun stuff. Superintendent Amati.
That's right. We welcome our wonderful principal at Stanton, Ms. Gina Faria, to start us off. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. A lot of exciting announcements tonight. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you to the Board of Education and the governance team for inviting us here tonight and your ongoing support. On behalf of the entire Stanton Elementary School team, we are pleased to present our annual update, which focuses on the power of inclusivity. This year, Stanton has brought some programs to our students that break down barriers. Our Stanton community has a deep desire to have our students be seen, heard, and loved. At Stanton, we continually focus our culturally responsive lens on the academic and social emotional activities that engage our students on a daily basis. We ask questions and reflect upon the needs of our students by consistently reviewing student data and our own biases so that we better meet the needs of our students and their families. Tonight, Stanton teachers and students will be sharing 4 interactive programs on campus that celebrate our differences. Because we believe that what we know matters, but who we are matters more. Ms. Sanders, our kindergarten teacher, will share student goal posters that were brought to fruition through the collaboration of team members and student council that visually reflect our student population. These goals are taught by our students, to our students, and are unique for our students. Ms. Baradas, our 5th grade teacher, will share about PALS, a unique mentoring program developed in partnership with our community members and former Stanton parents who come weekly to serve as academic and social emotional mentors to our current students on campus. And we will close with a presentation from Ms. Jones, our 5th grade teacher, who spearheaded 2 influential student clubs this year, the Neurodiversity Club and Wellness Warriors. The Neurodiversity Club is composed of students who bring awareness to pride to neurodifferences, such as autism and ADHD. Our Wellness Warriors Club is composed of students who want to promote social emotional well-being through reflection activities and calming practices to serve all of our students. It's with great pride and appreciation that I would like to introduce Ms. Sanders, our kindergarten teacher, to delve into our presentation about student-centered goals.
Hi, I'm Christina Sanders. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Stanton and also a member of the PBIS team. This year's intention as a PBIS team was to make Stanton's behavior goals more student-friendly to all of our TK through 5th grade students. We picked 5 areas on campus that needed the most behavior support and created 4 expected behaviors for each area. To help all students easily access this information, we chose to make our language inclusive and direct by using 1 word per expected behavior, created hand motions to go with each expected behavior, and produced videos and posters demonstrating exactly what we expect in those areas at Stanton. Inclusive and direct language not only eliminates confusion for students, but also unifies the staff and how we approach correcting behavior as a team. After these behaviors were explicitly taught by our Stanton staff, student council members took leadership roles by teaching and reinforcing these behavior goals at lunchtime. Student council members are also shown in the posters demonstrating the hand motions next to the 4 goals. Here is an example of our hallway poster. So you see here that there are 4 words that go with the hallway, and there's also motions that go with it. And this is a real student council member right on the side there. We found great value in visually representing our students whenever possible, and that there is a much higher engagement level when students themselves are involved in the lesson creation process. I'm going to pass it off to Mrs. Baradas now.
There we go. I'm Mrs. Brada Smith, and I am a fifth grade teacher at Stanton Elementary School. Thank you for the opportunity right now to brag about our PAL program. Prior to the pandemic, the PAL program was a staple of mentorship that began over 20 years ago with Jack McKay and Grace Wong and has served over 450 Stanton stars. This year, Maria Savanasan and I were given the incredible honor of helping revitalize the program, bringing it back to Stanton. We couldn't wait to build the partnership with previous PAL members as well as new ones, all in the name of meeting academic, behavioral, and social emotional goals of our, I'm sorry, I have bad allergies, social emotional needs of our students. We currently have 8 PALs that service 14 of our students, grades kindergarten through 4th grade. On any given day, you can see them working on sounding out words, writing persuasive essays, and playing math games to build fluency and confidence. Most importantly, the smiles, laughter, and conversations in their home languages bring life to our school culture and community. Last week, I walked in on a session with one student who was shouting, "I am smart," after completing his kindergarten task of building words. Teachers also report seeing boosts in self-esteem and academic ability. We look forward to the endless possibilities and having this program continue to flourish for many years to come. Up next, I have my talented partner, Miss Katie Jones.
All right, good evening. I'm Katie Jones. I am 5th grade teacher at Stanton and also a Stanton parent. I'm so happy to be here this evening to share about the student-centered clubs that are thriving on our campus this year. First up is the Neurodiversity Club. It was started with the help of Miss Evgie, our resource specialist, and Mrs. Kopp, our school psychologist. And together, the 3 of us brainstormed and created a space where our neurodivergent students could come together in community and realize that they're not alone. Our club meets bi-weekly on Fridays at lunch, and our time together has been spent in a variety of ways. Sometimes we have learned about well-known neurodivergent people such as Picasso, you'll see some art there, and Tim Burton. And then other times we just hang out together and play games and just spend time in community together. I'd actually like to invite 2 of our Neurodiversity Club members to share a few words about their experiences this year.
Hi, I'm Ellery. Neurodiversity Club is fun on a number of levels. For one, I get to spend time with my friends, and we also get to learn about famous people who we might look up to that are also neurodiverse. We learn how their neurodiversity helped them be successful.
Hi, I'm Jackson. Neurodiversity Club is great because it teaches that there is no right or wrong way to think. We've learned about famous people who are also neurodivergent like me. Plus, I feel connected with everyone in the club.
I went too far. Arrow. My time with the Neurodiversity Club inspired me to extend this awareness school-wide with Neurodiversity Celebration Week in March. This allowed all students to learn that we all think differently and that should be celebrated. Teachers were provided a document that contained a schedule of videos and activities each day of the week around ADHD, autism, and dyslexia. And our Neurodiversity Club members also helped us make posters and put them around the school to advertise. I received lots of positive feedback from the staff where they shared that students were identifying with the videos and sharing their own experiences with their classmates. This awareness also helped remove any stigma around words like autism or disability. And we really hope that we can continue and expand that celebration week next year and beyond. Then there's Wellness Warriors, which is kind of a bit of a passion project for myself. Last fall, I completed a 200-hour program where I received certification as a yoga teacher and wellness facilitator. And I gained all these tools that I just was dying to bring to Stanton. So one way I did that was through the Wellness Warriors. And that's where students learn how to regulate their emotions and utilize wellness strategies like breathing, meditation, and yoga. We meet each Monday in our wellness center at Stanton, and I teach them new skills, we practice them, and then when they're ready, they go and visit classrooms, and they teach these strategies to take TK through 5th grade students. They have visited classrooms 5 times this school year, and just this week, they've been sharing ways to cope with test anxiety ahead of the CASP test next week. It's truly been amazing to watch the Wellness Warriors gain confidence and leadership skills alongside of all of those emotional regulation strategies. So enough for me. I have 3 Wellness Warriors here that I want to share with you.
Hi, I'm Lawrence. I love the Wellness Warriors because getting to share with other people is so fun. I also love to learn all of these new breathing techniques to help me calm down.
It's been amazing to be a part of Wellness Warriors because you can teach other kids how to calm down whenever they're feeling stressed. The activities we do help me when I'm overwhelmed.
Wellness Warriors has been a wonderful experience. I really enjoy going to different classrooms and sharing wellness strategies with them. I also enjoy learning wellness strategies to help myself.
And now to end our presentation, the Wellness Warriors would like to lead the room in a quick mindful exercise.
Hello, we are from the Wellness Warriors. We would love to invite you to join us in an activity called In Love, Out Love that will help us to share some love with ourselves and others.
Sit up nice and tall. Bring one hand to your heart and the other over that hand. Feel the rhythm of your heart beating beneath your palms. We invite you to close your eyes or let your eyes fall downcast. Begin to notice your breath. Notice how each inhale and each exhale moves through your body. As you inhale, fill yourself up with love. As you exhale, give your love out to this community. Continue to breathe in love and exhale your love out. Let's take one more deep breath in and exhale it all out with a sigh. Now take a moment to check in and notice how you feel after giving and receiving love through your breath. Gently open your eyes and share a smile with someone in the room.
We hope you enjoyed that activity and learning about our work as Wellness Warriors. This concludes our presentation. Thank you for listening and have a great evening.
We will be doing some recognition. So if you are here for the person who's being recognized, you can come up and take pictures anywhere you like. So don't be shy.
All right, I'd like to invite Kingston Douglas up here. Kingston. The governance team, along with Stanton Elementary School, are proud to honor Kingston Douglas. We are so excited to recognize Kingston, who has grown and blossomed so much this year. Kingston has a smile that lights up any room he enters. But at the start of the school year, he wanted to keep that smile to himself as a very introverted and shy student. With support and a desire to always do his best, Kingston has found his voice and his confidence as both a student and a leader. He is always willing to go the extra mile, whether it is practicing math to focus on his fluency, double checking his work, or checking on classmates who might need help and support. Everybody wants to be Kingston's friend, and he will happily include anyone because he wants to feel supported and respected. He works so hard to maintain a positive attitude, and his teachers can always count on him to be involved in lessons and share a smile with them on tough days. All of his hard work and progress this year is due to his intrinsic motivation to do well and work hard. We couldn't be more proud of Kingston and can't wait to see what successes the future holds for him. The governance team joined Stanton Elementary School in honoring Kingston Douglas as an outstanding student.
Kingston, I don't want to put you on the spot because they said you're a little shy. But would you like to introduce who's with you tonight? If you want, you don't have to. Yeah, for the fan. If you could join us up at the microphone, that'd be great.
My mom, dad, and grandma and stepmom and my stepdad's with me today. And my
Thank you, Kingston, and thank you to Kingston's family.
Justin Kemp, come on down. The governance team, along with Stanton Elementary School, are proud to recognize Justin Kemp as the 2022-2023 Volunteer of the Year. The impact that Justin has had on the Stanton community at large spans over many years. He is the type of person who jumps in at a moment's notice to help plan, organize, and participate in any school activity. He truly cares about the well-being of all students and has been instrumental in providing enriching and engaging after-school classes through Play CV. In fact, he jumped in as a Spanish teacher this year to that class so that class could continue for our students. Gracias. During distance learning and hybrid schedules, Justin took on the leadership role as Stanton's SPA president. During these challenging times, he created and organized a creative and equitable approach to our walkathon, where all students were represented and where all students were able to participate. In addition, he organized and distributed student materials so that every student had the supplies they needed to be successful during distance learning. In an effort to better streamline parent communication, he spearheaded Parent Square at site to effectively deliver information to our parents in a timely manner, and that had an impact on the entire district. Justin is an advocate for all of our students and has taken an active role in parent outreach. He is approachable and kind and is always willing to find innovative solutions so that there are no obstacles when it comes to providing students, families, and staff with tools and resources to support teaching and learning. He always keeps the spirit of what it means to be Stanton strong at the forefront of all he does to support our community. The governance team, along with Stanton Elementary School, are proud to honor Justin Kemp as an outstanding volunteer. Congratulations.
Justin, would you like to share who's joining you tonight?
My entire, looks like Stanton community is here joining me tonight. My son Xander is, is all for him. My wife, also my wife Christine, who has also been instrumental. We can always stop me. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to board's comments and questions. Student Board Member Henson.
Thank you for the great presentation, Stanton. Just a few comments that I had. One, the PBIS program that you are doing over there, I think it's a fantastic program with the signs, the student council signs. And I mean, over at the high school, we could definitely use some of those, especially, bathroom etiquette would be nice. So you're doing important work over there. And also the PALS program as well, the way that you've been able to partner with community members to help our students is also a great program as well. And to our student of the year, excellent work. As a former shy and introverted student myself, I understand the struggles, and reading through your paragraph of accomplishments and seeing the impact you've had being an introverted person yourself. I mean, I can only imagine once you get up to high school, once you start participating and finding yourself, the impact that you have. So thank you. And to our volunteer of the year, thank you to all the volunteers and especially yourself. Hearing how you just jumped in as a Spanish teacher, that is very impressive. Being in Spanish myself, I mean, I can barely learn it, so teaching it, very impressive. And so just thank you for all the work that you do. And thank you, Stanton.
Trustee Raymond.
Without doubling up on anything that Student Board Member Hanson has just shared, I want to thank you, Ellery, Jackson, and Lawrence for coming and sharing with us about your experiences. It takes a lot of guts to stand up in front of a room this full of people, especially all these grownups, and share so vulnerably about things like, how you cope with your feelings. That's not always encouraged, but I'm so glad that we are providing space for you guys to learn how to do that and carry that with you in your life. So it will benefit you literally every day of your life to be doing that. So thank you very much for sharing that with us and sharing this breath of love in and out as well.
Trustee Howard.
Yeah, so thanks for a very nice report. Very well done too, and very impressive to see the imagination and ingenuity that you've got in these various programs up there, the PAL, the neurodiversity, and the wellness warriors. And in particular, thanks to the student presenters, those were all really terrific. So it's a great presentation, and congratulations to Kingston and also to Justin. Thanks for all you've done throughout the district for years. Thank you very much.
Trustee Adams.
Yes, so Stanton, beautiful campus. I've been to Stanton a few times, and I really love to go there. There's something very warm and cozy about Stanton. It always has been for me. I particularly am really excited by that neurodiversity club, very close to me, because of course I'm a special ed teacher and have been, have worked with kids with ADHD, autism and dyslexia, amongst many other differently abled kids. And I'm really glad to see that there's a club to make them feel not alone, and to know that there's so many other kids that have the same kinds of things that they do, and they're not the only one. The wellness warriors working on the emotions, that's great too. And congratulations to Kingston Douglas and to Justin Kemp for being a great student and being a great volunteer.
Vice President Kuziak.
There's a lot of star power in here tonight, spreading a lot of love, and it's making it really hot in here too. I'll keep it quick though. I have to make a shout out to our very first Castro Valley Unified teacher in my family. You always have a place in our heart, Gina Faria. She was my son's transitional kindergarten teacher, and it's amazing tonight when I reflect on the people we've promoted tonight into new positions. One, the small town we live in, and two, to just see that progression, to see that. And I am so excited that you get to be a principal at such an amazing school with such a strong community with lots of love. So I just want to thank our Stanton Stars for being here. Kingston, thank you for being here, and thank you for letting a lot of people praise you. I know that that can be tough hearing from all these people who think you're awesome, but I think you're awesome, and keep on being you. And Justin, it's great to see you back here. I was just trying to think, will Xander be taller than you in a few years? I've always, Justin and Xander used to be a part of my Cub Scout pack at Chabot School, and it's just such a delightful family. It's great to see you guys here tonight. Congratulations.
Superintendent Amati.
Yeah, you know, this is the power of leadership, right? Leadership in the principal, teachers as leaders, students as leaders, parents and community as leaders. That's what happens. It's Stanton, you know, somebody said something about bragging. You have every right to brag about everything you have done because it's incredible. The clubs, the whole place, like Miss Adams said, it's just welcoming, it's supportive, it's a beautiful, beautiful place, and it's very intentional. Nothing happens by accident when we talk about that. And I love how when you have these things, when like the neurodiversity month, it's not just here's what we're doing in the club, but also what you do in every classroom and following it up. So, and of course, Justin, it's incredible, not just at Stanton, but I think the entire town knows him because he does so much in this community. And last but not least, Kingston. All I could do was just draw a big, huge heart around your name to think about what I want to say to you, because you have a huge heart and you have an amazing support, not just at school, but with your just incredible family. And I look forward to seeing you grow up, go to middle school and high school, and maybe sit over there as a student board member. So thank you so much. Great presentation.
And I won't repeat everything, but I do want to say a couple of things. Kingston, you have an infectious smile. I just wanted to smile watching you smile. It just seemed like you bring so much joy into the world, and thank you. Justin, thank you for everything that you do for our community here and beyond. And then I want to leave with the statement that you have for the Neurodivergency Club. I mean, there is no right way to learn or think. And that's such a beautiful statement and such a welcoming statement. And thank you for creating that space for our community and our kids. Thank you, Stanton.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all of our teachers that are here.
So before we go, would you mind introducing your
A
staff?
lot of us here.
We would love.
I'm going to need them to stand up so that I can say all their names because there's so many of them. Can you please stand, all of my wonderful staff? Come on, look at this. So with sincerest gratitude, I'd like to introduce some of my wonderful staff. We've got Ms. Shannon Baradas, Katie Jones, Christina Drayson, Tamara Grippi, Maria Savanasan, Tracy Franco, Jenny C., Louise Kopp, Heidi Morgan, Amy Evgy, Kendra Morris, and in the front, we've got Megan Kelly and Ashley Buffington. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Stanton. We will now move on to our student board member report. Student member Hanson, what's going on in our community?
Around the district, students participated in state testing the past couple of weeks. Students also participated in Earth Day cleanups at their schools in partnership with CVUSD. There's an Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month event on May 6th from 10:30 to 12 p.m. in the Canyon Cafeteria featuring presentations, performers, games, food, and more. 8th graders are gearing up for end of the year trips to Six Flags, as well as some who are attending the annual DC trip this summer. The book fair is currently at Creekside and will be there from April 24th to April 28th. Book fairs are also popping up around the district at various schools. Some schools around the district are participating in discounted ticket fundraisers with the Oakland Athletics and San Francisco Giants baseball teams. Families can enjoy tickets at a discounted rate with the Athletics or get $5 back for every ticket purchased with the Giants for your school. Play CV hosted Creekside's production of Annie Jr. on April 23rd and 24th. And over at the high school, our ladies flag football game was on April 14th. The senior sophomore team crushed the freshman junior team in a 28-6 victory. The Spirit Boys performed their hearts out during the halftime performance and throughout the game as well. Yes, I was among those Spirit Boys. But the junior senior prom took place last Saturday at the California Academy of Sciences. Around 1,200 students were able to attend. Students had the opportunity to enjoy access to most features of the Academy of Sciences, like the fog room, earthquake room, aquarium, silent disco, and more, as well as chocolate fountains and crepes as well. Multiple senior awards nights took place these past few weeks, as well as senior nights for multiple sports teams. The annual Senior Awards Night is taking place May 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. in the Trojan Stadium. And last but not least, seniors are enjoying their last moments at the school and preparing for their departure. Thank you.
Thank you, Student Board Member Hanson. Superintendent Amadi, what's going on around the
Yes,
district?
of course, I was going to just share again about Dr. Ryman leaving us. We'll talk about him a lot more, but it's been an absolute pleasure to work with him, learn with him, and grow together. So I'm going to miss him a lot, but I'm very happy that we have an amazing team that will continue to this great work with Ms. Rashichi and the entire team, Mr. Luongo there, and our administrators at the site. We have our AXA Awards, so our administrators actually get nominated, and tomorrow night in Pleasanton, we all gather from Alameda and Contra Costa to honor them. And then, of course, in a couple of weeks, we honor our teachers of the year, classified of the year, and our administrators here in Castro Valley. I attended the California Legislative Women's Caucus that I was invited to. It was really great because it was kind of a time to not necessarily advocate for a certain bill, but to talk about what is coming up. For example, they want to know what we're grappling with. And one was social media. So we had a conversation around that. May Revise is coming up. And of course, June, the budget will be approved at the state. I wanted to share that since we've been working on planning for Proposition 28 for music and art, we've had meetings with our teachers and staff. We've also done a thought exchange, and I wanted to share some of the things that we actually have results of. Thank you, Amy, Ms. Kayer. But one of the three things that many parents, we had over 300, 400 people actually chime in, was having music available to all grades. Introduction to music at an early age is important. Bringing back music education in elementary school. Studies have shown that music education is important for children, so that one got a lot of votes. Also, they said they're really right now, there's no art education in the way it's art instruction at elementary and middle school, so it's very important to have that. So exactly what we hope to hear is let's expand music and art in our schools, not just in middle and high school, but elementary school. So that's that. And last but not least, I just want to invite everybody to go to this Castro Valley Education Foundation website and buy your ticket to the CVEF dinner on May 5th, where they are raising funds. It's actually a wonderful, fun event at Adobe. but they also, the funds that they raise actually go to the wellness programs in our district. So I wanted to thank them for all the hard work that they're putting into that. That's my report.
Thank you, Superintendent Amati. At this time, we will take a short break and come back at 6:50 so that y'all can get dinner, homework, do things besides here. But we do have a great agenda following. We're going to hear from our unions. We're going to have some public comments. We're going to talk about the consent agenda. We're going to have a public hearing on sunshine proposals for our unions. We're going to look at the personnel report and decide if we're going to vote on it. We're going to look at adopting resolution to initiate a transition to a bi-trustee area election system and see if we're going to move forward with that. A presentation on our upcoming summer school programs, which will be pretty neat, and an update on our Measure G projects. So if you want to join us, feel free. Otherwise, be back at 6:50. Hello, everyone, and welcome back from our recess for the Castro Valley Unified School District meeting. Our next item is our California School Employees Association and Castro Valley Teachers Association reports. Amy, do we have reps with us online?
Connie is here. But Connie, I think is here.
Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Connie Hill. I'm president of CSEA Chapter 52. And first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Stanton Elementary School. I have a little bit of history with that school. Ms. Baradas taught my daughter Carrie. My daughter Carrie had some disabilities with reading. She had to go to summer school between the 4th and 5th grade. And Shannon Baradas was her summer school teacher, and then she got her as her permanent teacher for the 5th grade. And it's an amazing school. And I was so proud tonight of those kids. Really beautiful to see what they're doing over there. First of all, I want to say thank you to Superintendent Amati, our assistant superintendents, and the entire Board of Education for your continued support of the classified employees in Castro Valley. Together, our union and our district have a wonderful history of working together to prevent layoffs, encourage professional training, and building a strong team that provides a workplace for people who are dedicated to serving the education needs of our diverse community. The most recent example of this collaboration between CSEA and Castro Valley was to update our current job descriptions for our MOT and warehouse departments to ensure that our members are working within the proper parameters and that they are given the proper tools and skills to perform their given duties. With just a few more minor tweaks, I anticipate this group of job reviews and reclassifications to be complete. Then we can look forward to next year's group of our many clerical, secretarial, and other office-related employees and the various job descriptions and classifications that go along with that. It's going to be a monumental undertaking, but I have no doubt that we will be successful. As you are all aware, sunshine proposals are the first step in contract negotiations, and it allows the proverbial sun to shine on the primary concerns of the CSEA chapter's membership so that those concerns can be discussed at the bargaining table. Pursuant to Section 3547, that's the official part of my speech, the California School Employees would like to reopen the following articles for negotiation: Article 3, hours of employment; Article 4, compensation; and Article 6, health and welfare benefits. It is the hope of the negotiation committee, the Chapter 52 leadership, and the over 300 Chapter 52 members that together we will be able to agree upon a contract that will both recognize and compensate the hard work and dedication given by our various classified professionals every day. It is no secret that given the current climate in education, retaining qualified and experienced employees has become more and more challenging. As inflation continues to rise, other alternatives to working in education have become considerably more attractive for many of the highly talented people working today in our school districts. Several of our neighboring districts have recognized this and are offering salary and wage increases accordingly. It is the hope of Chapter 52 that Castro Valley Unified will be no different in showing its desire to not only retain its current classified staff, but also to be able to attract and hire new classified employees who are capable of upholding our professional standards by following suit accordingly. The California School Employees Association and Castro Valley Chapter 52 are looking forward to entering into negotiations with Castro Valley Unified as a means to continue with the successful partnership we have achieved together in providing our community with dedicated and well-compensated classified staff. Thank you for the opportunity for me to present our CSEA news.
Nice to see you, Connie. Thank you for coming. We will now move to public comment for items not on the agenda. And I do want to say that we received a lot of public comments, and normally our public comment is only 30 minutes and 3 minutes long for each person, but we want to make sure that, oh, is CVT on? No, he's not here. Yeah. Oh, I was like, what happened? But I did get 16 cards. So what I want to do is I want to see if it's okay with the board so we can allow everyone to talk, to move it from 3 minutes to 2 minutes so we can make sure everybody has a voice. Is that okay? Can I? Okay. So great. And I do want to just let everyone know that to comply with the Brown Act, the board may listen to comments from speakers under public comment, but we can neither discuss nor take action on issues presented. Just wanted to let you know that. And I will call up Deborah Keener. Oh, Deborah, you need to come up to the microphone, please. And Amy will put 2 minutes on the clock.
Actually like to request that the students speak first.
That's great.
Thank you.
Luna. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Luna Steveneth, and I am a sophomore at Castro Valley High School. I am also part of the music program there. As you might have heard before me or will hear after me, I am here to speak about the current events regarding my teacher, Mr. Keita Hasegawa. I'm sure this is not your first time you have heard from students or parents about this topic, and I assure you won't be your last, but we as a student collective appreciate the opportunity to be able to stand in front of you today and speak what we think should be heard. We've put a lot of time and preparation into being present here today, and I think we at least deserve to be listened to. Nothing about these recent events are something any of us wish for, but now we are all stuck in this situation and we beg you to try to work with us instead of against us. We all just want to be able to play our music in a healthy, safe, comfortable environment. That is not possible with Mr. Hasegawa around. Many students will have to forfeit the following year's music programs if Mr. Hasegawa remains. Please don't force us to have to leave something we feel like we belong in and love so dearly. I have seen firsthand several instances of where Mr. Hasegawa has crossed lines. He is violent in the classroom, sometimes throwing and slamming objects, yelling at students, and kicking students out. He gets very personally upset with students, sometimes calling them names and being what I see as incredibly immature. He has portrayed discrimination to certain sections of the band, instrument sections, treating them with a behavior completely different than he treats other students. He shows excruciatingly blatant favoritism and does not even bother to hide it. I've never seen him where he was not alone in a car or a room with students, usually female, and he often buys food or drinks for said students. He has engaged in off-putting and inappropriate conversations online with students in which there is evidence. He has always seemed off, and this last event has just confirmed it. For me personally, as a female, having Mr. Hasegawa around scares me and makes me incredibly uncomfortable. Most of us don't know the full story of the latest events or the technicalities, and we understand there are some things that further complicate the situation. Nevertheless, we are uncomfortable. No matter the specifics of the situation, it is apparent Mr. Hasegawa crossed a line that should not have been crossed, and as a result, we want him removed. Not as a way of punishment or revenge, but as a way of trying to support the students. We come here in understanding that you cannot just swish a magic wand and he will be gone, but we can.
Thank you, Luna.
Thank you.
We have 2 minutes per person. Naomi?
My name is Naomi Quibido, and I'm a junior in the band program at CVHS. When our teacher left school early on Tuesday, March 21st, rumors started flying throughout the student body, causing great concern in all of us. Substantiating these rumors, recent evidence has emerged that has prompted us to seek adult help. With the little information the district has given students and parents regarding the situation, we felt morally obligated to find out more on our own. While we acknowledge the need for the district to keep some information confidential, any information or even just a little bit more communication around these matters would be better than nothing. As of now, everything we've learned about the situation has been a result of our own independent inquiries. This in itself poses a notable issue. A lot of our time in the past weeks has been spent worrying about whether or not our teacher has been inappropriate with students and if or when he will be coming back. This has placed a lot of stress on the students because we were constantly worrying about what we would do if he returns. In recent evidence, we have seen our teachers say concerning things to students in direct messages. It is apparent that messages like these break the California Teachers Association Code of Ethics, which clearly states that teachers shall not use professional relationships with their students for private advantage. Due to the inherent power dynamic in professional student-teacher relationships, many students may feel inclined to comply with anything that their teacher asks of them, making this situation a possible example of misconduct. Whether or not this breaks any laws, see Penal Code Section 647.6. Many of us students feel that the actions stated earlier are unjust and hope that something can be changed. We ask for more transparency from the administration regarding this issue because it is splitting the band in half and choosing whether or not we should support Mr. Hasagawa's return. We want to have reassurance that we will be safe as students in our learning environment. We want our and our parents' concerns regarding Mr. Hasagawa's conduct to be addressed and communicated appropriately. Student voices and concerns should be regarded with the same seriousness as adult ones, and it is important that they are heard in situations that could greatly affect their future. I hope that the district considers our request and proves that all means all is true for students too. Thank you.
Thank you, Naomi. Lillian?
Good evening. My name is Lillian Sequeira. I am a junior at Castro Valley High School, and I'm here to give my perspective and share my experience with Mr. Keita Hasagawa. I am uncomfortable being around Mr. Hasagawa. I do not feel respected because of the way that he has treated me and my peers. Mr. Hasagawa has continually displayed violent behavior, from throwing objects, slamming down electronics against a whiteboard, and yelling at students. He has also stormed out of the classroom angry and yelled at us to simply get out of the classroom before the class period is over, leaving us in the hallway. Get out. He then proceeds to slam a baton against the whiteboard. Get out. These have been reoccurring incidents. These kinds of situations have created an uncomfortable and unsafe environment in which students are afraid to speak up and are not supported by the very adults who are supposed to support us. Mr. Hasagawa has been involved in unprofessional forms of communication with students, such as privately messaging on platforms such as Discord and driving students in his personal vehicle. I ask that the district reconsider Keita Hasagawa's position as an educator and staff at our schools, and to hire another teacher to be the CVHS band and orchestra director for the future. I do not think that we should continue to support a teacher who's making students uncomfortable. You are hearing from students who will be directly affected by this decision. We know that having a completely new teacher will be hard. We are the ones who are and will bear the brunt of the situation. But we have a strong student body who will work their hardest to support each other. I will not feel comfortable or be participating in any music programs in Castro Valley schools if Mr. Hasagawa is involved in any way. Thank you for your time, and I hope you consider what I've said today. Unsafe. Not only a matter of discomfort, but unsafe. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. Sophia Ortiz?
Hello, my name is Sophia Ortiz, and I'm a current junior in both Castro Valley's marching band and symphonic band. I have been in Castro Valley's music program for the past 3 years, with 2 of them under the teaching of Keita Hasagawa. I spent countless hours under the supervision of Mr. Hasagawa on the field and in the classroom, seeing the band more than my own family. This year was supposed to be a year of growth in our program, taking and changing things from our past seasons that we could work on as students mentally and physically, but in the end failed to truly recognize that the change shouldn't have been within us. I knew that this year would be ridden with anxiety, stress, and fear. I prepared myself. I prepared myself for the anxiety of concerts in the crowds. I prepared myself for the stress that comes with auditions and the possibility of seeing my name on that list. I prepared myself for the feeling of fear for our graduating seniors and how we as a section would go on without people who felt like family. But never did I prepare myself for the anxiety of the outcome, the stress of his possible return and what he would say, or the fear of what he could have done if left one more day in that brown desk. To some, this situation might sound juvenile or not as bad as what it could have been, as someone has told me this past week. But in my eyes, this is how it starts. When will it get bad enough for the victims for it to be bad enough for you to listen? What legacy will be remembered for the class of 2023? Will it be the achievements of their past 4 years, the awards, the placement, the titles, or the points? Will it be the blood, sweat, and tears it took to get to the stage, the satisfaction of the paper in their hands, the self-searching, that final song playing as they leave with family members beaming from above? Or will it be the story of a man who should have been there, but failed to recognize that his actions have consequences and the failure of the system that he hides behind today? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Michelle. Is Michelle here?
All right, so my name is Michelle Huynh. I'm a senior and I've been in the music program for the entire time I've been at CVHS. Due to the recent incidents, Keita Hasegawa's extremely inappropriate behaviors have come to light to us students recently. Many students dating all the way back to middle school under Keita endured emotional tantrums, things being thrown at them, passive-aggressive demoralizing comments, etc. They all witnessed his strange favoritism and bias towards certain students, namely young, cute female students, where he treated them exclusively, buying them boba and food and giving them rides in his private car. However, because we never actually saw anything happen back then, we thought it was strange, but in the end wrote it off as normal. That was where we messed up. I mean, technically, we didn't really mess up because it is adults who set the boundaries, not children. This strange behavior is not supposed to happen in the first place. Because children are naturally naive and trusting of adults, Keita Hasegawa was able to get away with these behaviors. His behavior breached into private online territory, namely Discord, where he's able to privately talk to students one-on-one. Behind the scenes, away from public view, he would talk with girls. He would talk to students in an unrecognizable manner from his day-to-day demeanor. In private DMs with girls he would favor, such as the aforementioned previous favoritism and bias, he would talk with them as if they were his friends, and he would sound like he were a young teenage boy talking with them, acting cute with all the emojis and being bashful. He ranted to them about his mental health and gave them affection like he would a really close friend. Keep in mind that this guy is 31 and all of who he was talked to were minors. Keep in mind that this guy was our teacher that we looked in the face every single day and treated with respect when in the background, he consciously had these extremely inappropriate relationships with students. My experience with Keita was a small fractal, but I felt it shone a light through a really big toxic aspect of his personality, his immaturity. I struggled with depression really bad through first semester of my senior year, and it showed through my absences and progressive being tardy everywhere. He told my problems to other students who didn't need to hear it and put a really bad image on me.
Thank you, Michelle. Sorry, Michelle, we have 2 minutes per person. I'm sorry, but we have 30 minutes for each agenda item, and the board has wanted to make sure that everyone has a voice. And so we've allowed 2 minutes per person. So we will continue with 2 minutes per person. Sorry, Miss. Thank you. Courtney?
I'd like to move that we extend the time. I would like to move that we extend the time.
Would the rest of the board agree with that? Can you put your mic on, please?
I would be supportive of it.
Are we talking like another 50 minutes, 50 seconds per person?
Can we get to 2:30?
Yeah, that's fine. 2.5 minutes is fine if we allow a little bit more time. Are we all in agreement?
I'm just asking that we extend the time. So if we have a consensus of allowing these kids who clearly have prepared and put a lot of thought and effort into their work, I think we should hear them.
Gary? Okay. 2.5?
Yes, 3 minutes.
3 minutes or 2.5? The move was.
They prepared 3 minutes. They
The
prepared.
rest of the students, then we'll do that. I just don't want to make it unfair. So Courtney, you have 3 minutes.
Can Michelle finish?
Michelle, you have another minute.
Like I was saying before about his unprofessionalism in talking about my own background that shouldn't have really been known to others. I want you to think about his background and how he has this extremely unprofessional history. He has this burned image in his history now. And if you think about it professionally, we have this immature guy with clearly unhealed issues that gets coped with via students who leads the honorable music program at CVHS. Not only do the students want to work with him because of this extremely disturbingly unprofessional history, but no longer with potential colleagues and collaborators that would ultimately cause our music program to go belly up if the district decides to keep Keita Hasegawa as CVH's band director. And that was it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Michelle. Courtney, if we could have Courtney back up. Thank you, Courtney.
Hello and good evening, board members. My name is Courtney Bosco and I'm a current senior at Castro Valley High School. I've been in the band program for the past 4 years, 2 of which were under the direction of Mr. Keita Hasagawa. For most of the month that he was absent, I, like hundreds of other music students, had been uninformed of where he had gone and what had really happened. It wasn't until last week that I had finally heard the full story from a student. I had gotten to see evidence from a student that had to keep their mouth shut about the situation for 4 weeks, who was not allowed to say anything to others, who had to sit on this uncomfortable and sickening subject for a month. All the while, the school district had said nothing about this situation. Due to everything that has happened in the past month, there's absolutely no reason for the district to stay silent about an issue as pressing as this one, an issue that has affected the band and orchestra department negatively as a whole. Now, I want to elaborate a little bit on the evidence that I had mentioned earlier. There were text messages that had depicted inappropriate speech between instructor and student, as well as an inappropriate photo. This was seen in 2 separate victims that we currently know of. The messages are riddled with discussions of personal issues such as mental health, his and the students, and claiming that he needs them to feel better physically and or emotionally. In my opinion, the simple nature of just these messages is enough to demand a full investigation. Along with these written text messages, Hasagawa also has a very well-known track record of berating students and guilt-tripping them during class time. There have also been many times where he has also thrown items in the classroom such as batons, old cell phones, etc. A few months ago, I would have considered myself one of his favorite students. I used to go into the band room during 6th period and we would talk about other students behind the scenes of music events, and he had given me snacks and has bought me food and drinks. At the time, I didn't realize there was anything wrong with it, and I viewed him as my favorite teacher. But after these current events came to light and I heard that this happened with many other students, I started to realize that this isn't normal. A teacher shouldn't have that kind of relationship with a student. Teachers should not have such blatant favoritism. Teachers should not gossip with their students behind other students' backs. Teachers should not target innocent students who don't know what they're getting into. We are all children. We should not have to go through this. The mental strain that this has taken on us students is astounding and frankly exhausting. I want to say this again. It is imperative to understand that this situation has affected the music department as a whole in many, many different ways. As a senior, I'm deeply worried for our band program next year. The group has deepened my love for music and my life revolves around everyone here. The events that have occurred in the past month are extremely disappointing to me, my parents, and the hundreds of other music students who trusted this man. I'm also now unable to trust the school administration, as they've told us he would be back 3 different times, all of them turning out to be false, all while invoking anxiety and panic amongst students. I'm hoping that from this meeting, we are able to establish the fact that we do not want him to return for the sake of student safety, as well as the hope of a sustainable band program next year. If he continues to work at the high school next year, it is guaranteed that many band students are going to leave this program. And when that happens, it is going to fall on the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Miriam? Is Miriam here?
My name is Miriam Keener. As some of you may be aware, my friend Gabe and I were the 2 senior students who on March 21st of this year discovered disturbing and inappropriate messages to a student on the music director Keita Hasagawa's laptop. I'll refrain from going into detail about the contents of these messages as I hope that many of you have already seen them. Gabe and I took pictures of the messages and brought them to school administration, ultimately emailing them copies of all the images. We were told to be discreet, not to spread rumors, under the assumption that the administration would take the evidence we had given them and work to protect the school and community. I remained discreet for 4 weeks, hardly telling anyone anything about the situation. On April 20th, I was called into another meeting with administration and fellow students where they told us that Hasagawa would be returning to school the following week. At the time, it was truly unthinkable to me that this could happen. I was not expecting it. The evidence I had presented to the administration with was clearly inappropriate and appeared to even violate active school board policies, namely 4119.24 and 4219.24. Yet the man responsible was somehow coming back to school. This is when I lost faith in administration, in the supposed system that I'd trusted. I decided that if Hasagawa was going to be let back into my classroom, I could no longer remain silent. This afternoon, administration announced that Hasagawa is not set to return for the rest of this school year, but the email conveniently leaves out their plans for next year. The sheer level of anxiety fear and hopelessness that the situation has evoked for me has been nothing short of debilitating. Multiple times per week, I've had to miss my classes, either to be interviewed by administration or because I needed to speak with a counselor in the wellness center. During the period of time when I was respecting the administration's wishes and keeping silent, many of my relationships suffered due to the level of secrecy I was constantly shrouded in. To be aware that this past month of suffering may all be for nothing in the event that he returns next year is horrifying. I've been raising awareness of the situation as best as I can in this time, and I've remained steadfast in my will to protect the school, but the truth is that I am terrified. I'm terrified that Hasegawa is going to be let back into the classroom knowing that these students actively protested against his return. I'm terrified that he will once again be allowed to be around the exact demographic that he has displayed a pattern of problematic behavior towards. I'm terrified of the implications this presents about the district, that they could receive the type of evidence I showed them and still let the perpetrator back in front of children. I'm terrified that the mental anguish that I and other students have felt all month will ultimately be swept under the rug along with the rest of this case. I'm terrified that the strength and bravery that so many students have shown over this past week will all be for nothing. I'm terrified that the only lesson we end up learning from this will be that the very people that we as students are meant to trust are actually the most untrustworthy. No one should have to sacrifice their right to an education because of their discomfort regarding this man. No one should have to stand in front of Hasegawa and look him in the eye. The sad truth is that after the handling of the situation, I can no longer trust the district to keep my school safe. Band has been everything to me since I was in the 4th grade. My obligation to this community is all-consuming. Hasegawa's potential return will only lead to more unrest and suffering. The music program is already lost and confused without a concrete director to lead it, but trust that if Hasegawa is reinstated, the program will fully crumble. Please do not let this be the legacy of instrumental music in Castro Valley. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Courtney. Is Miriam here? Miriam, can you please come up? Oh, gosh, I'm so sorry. Alexander.
Hello, board members. My name is Alexander Witt. I'm 15 years old. I'm a sophomore in high school. I'm here tonight to discuss my perspective on Mr. Keita Hasegawa's position at the Castro Valley High School in light of recent events. I cannot verify the exact number of incidents that have occurred involving Mr. Hasegawa, but I've personally witnessed instances of his unprofessional communication with students. There's been documented evidence of his inappropriate messaging to my peers, while speaking no further on the victims to maintain their anonymity. As far as I've been informed, the current plan of action is to reinstate Mr. Hasegawa in his position as the educator as of the 2023 to 2024 school year. However, the evidence that has been disclosed clearly indicates behavior that is entirely unjustifiable towards students. There have been numerous cases of educators demonstrating predatory behavior towards pupils, some of whom still remain at schools. Leniency given these situations is the primary reason as to why such instances continue to occur. The premise we set in this instance will demonstrate the devotion this district has to keeping its students safe. Many of my peers and I no longer feel comfortable under the instruction of Ms. Hasegawa. Few students will be able to feel secure in an environment where teachers can exploit students without repercussions. This is why I call for the removal of Mr. Hasegawa from his position as the band director and a new band director be instituted as the 2023-2024 school year. The CVHS music program will be able to continue with the new director as many students feel secure enough to continue their music education, so that Mr. Hasegawa's presence may dissuade them from. Many students and parents in the music program are concerned by the district's failure to act in the situation. Most people involved would greatly appreciate a high level of clarity as to what the district has been doing in light of Mr. Hasegawa's recent actions. I fear the future of the music program if Mr. Hasegawa is permitted to continue instruction despite the evidence we have seen of his predatory behavior. Now I ask you, how long are you willing to let an educator test the limits of the law at the expense of my peers' safety? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Alexander. Kyle, can you please come up? Go ahead, Kyle.
Good evening. My name is Kyle Jordan. I'm a band student at Castro Valley High School, and I'm heavily involved in the band program at CVHS. I am mainly here to address the blatant bullying of a girl who was a part of these accusations, but I will touch on the other issues first. Otherwise, I would wish not to be here today. I will note before I discuss the bullying that Mr. Hasegawa is a very professional and responsible person. The way that these students have spoken about him is either false or extremely exaggerated in most cases, and the way they refer to him treating female students better is extremely false. As I am a male student has also received and interacted with him in all of these ways, I look at him as not just a teacher, but someone who I couldn't do what I do without. He keeps me fed and encourages me to keep up my grades and continue to do music. He has given me rides home on days when I would have to walk home alone at 10 to 11 p.m. at night. He is a good teacher and a person that I respect him. I will begin to see him outside of school no matter what ends up happening if he is forced to leave or ends up leaving. Mr. H has been my mentor and father figure to me for 5 years now. He has helped me through a lot of issues. However, I no longer care about this debate or whether or not he was guilty or innocent. I would like to speak about the fact that the students who are leading this Bye Bye Mr. H club have been blatantly bullying the girl they're accusing of Hasegawa doing inappropriate things with, which there was no evidence to lead one to believe so. They have a considerably unique relationship with a father-daughter relationship in every way except biologically. They have been actively bullying this girl who's already struggling with bullying. They said it themselves. They value student safety. However, these very students bullying her contradict their very own morals. They release confidential information, spread false lies and accusations online. And when she went to confront them and ask them to stop spreading rumors and lies, they stated among the lines, "I don't care about you, and I'm going to lie and say that we'll stop telling people these things." The way that these students preach about everyone's safety or health, but have blatantly disregarded the health of a student, it seems that the only thing they care about is their personal vendettas against Mr. H. Thank you. Please address this bullying, and thank you.
Thank you, Kai. William or? Okay, is it Ryan? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Liam Lukowski, and I'm a freshman here at Custer Valley High School. As you're likely aware from all my peers speaking today, we're all here to discuss our thoughts on Mr. Keita Hasegawa returning to teach at Custer Valley High next year. Before I get into that, I believe some context is necessary because you've heard what we think, but you haven't heard why we think it. I think I speak for all of us when I say that instrumental music is hugely important to us, with us sometimes putting in upwards of 20 hours a week into our school music programs. I also know that while making music is an incredible feeling and it's important on its own, 70% of the reason we continue to do music is for each other. These fellow musicians are far more than just classmates. They're friends, mentors, and leaders, and are far more than just classmates. Oh, wait, okay, hold on, I said that. To most, voluntarily coming to school on a Saturday for 8 hours might seem ridiculous, but it's worth it knowing that I'm going to see and make music with some of my favorite people. This is exactly why we're all here today. My peers and I don't want to see that disappear. Mr. Hasegawa has shown time and again that he cannot behave safely and responsibly in an educational environment, showing clear favoritism for some students and an uncalled for disdain for others. He has on multiple occasions shown behavior that would be considered unacceptable by most standards, and I know myself and many others are disappointed in ourselves to only have stood up to this problem when it reached an extreme. It should be made known that if he returns to be our band and orchestra director, I and many of my peers would feel unsafe and uncomfortable continuing to participate and make music with all these wonderful people. As I mentioned before, I believe a massive part of our reasoning to continue to learn and play our instruments is because of the irreplaceable camaraderie and friendship that's formed through music. With the people gone, our friends gone, for many, there's no reason to continue to make music in high school. The absolute last thing that I wish to see is our high school's instrumental music program and the incredible community around it crumble because Mr. Hasegawa is allowed to return to teach at Custer Valley High. Thank you for your time.
William. Get Hayoshi to come up.
Good evening, board members. My name is Kiyoshi Sato, and I'm a 10th grader at Custer Valley High School and a member of the CVHS music program. The music program has had a profound impact on my life. I've dedicated hundreds of hours to its various groups, and I've come to see my fellow musicians as a sort of second family. But I am but one of hundreds of music students who share a love of music and the performing arts. I, like many others, trusted Keita Hasegawa. I saw him as a mentor, a role model, and a friend. But now, the future of the instrumental music program at CVHS is uncertain. Recently, some disturbing evidence has come to light of our current director, Keita Hasegawa, that has led to our current director being suspended for approximately 4 weeks. Hasegawa's relationships with multiple students has always been unprofessional, whether it's buying students food, having one or two, usually female students, hang out in his office alone with him. But this evidence has shown the true extent of his malpractice and unprofessionalism. The evidence that I've seen has made me no longer comfortable with Keita Hasegawa returning as the director of our programs or being at our school in any capacity. And if he is allowed to continue teaching, next year, then myself and many others will have no choice but to stop participating in any music programs led by him. We do not want to quit. The friendship and experiences that have come from these programs are invaluable to me, and I do not know where I would be without them. And yet I stand here tonight surrounded by my friends and fellow musicians to protest Keita Hasegawa's return to normal teaching duties. We do not want to let the actions of one man cause a downfall of this amazing community. In the wise words of one of the best musicians I know, at the end of the day, it's not Hasegawa's band, it's ours. Thank you for your time.
Jesse, could you please join us up front? Jesse?
Hello, I am Jesse. I am a senior at Cache Valley High School. I'm part of the Symphony and Chamber Orchestras, and I'm here to just discuss a little bit about the Hasegawa situation. So many student musicians who have worked closely with Mr. Hasegawa, mostly in leadership positions, have often said that he had a special relationship with the music groups. Right? And it would make sense. You can see why that would be, what with Mr. H pouring so much of his time and energy into the music program at CVHS, and with so many student musicians working with him for multiple years on end. To many students like me, he was someone we looked up to. He was someone we inspired to be, and someone who became a mentor. And in that way, he held immense power and influence. And someone in Mr. Hasegawa's position in that way should have been taken extra care in establishing boundaries for where these relationships would go. But that didn't happen. And whether it was intentional or not, Mr. Hasegawa crossed these boundaries and established and maintained relationships with select students that were completely unacceptable. He took advantage of young students, often in emotionally vulnerable stages in their lives, acting inappropriately with them online and in person, and using these relationships as an emotional release. And some of these actions were even noticed in plain sight by many other students. But his position as a music director and mentor made him someone who really maybe shouldn't be questioned. And most students ended up turning a blind eye. Unfortunately, I fall into that group. To us, he was either a powerful teacher or an undeniable pillar of good, and sometimes that was both. And only after his behavior became more erratic and aggressive did these thoughts even begin to pop into our heads. And even now, his actions affect students. People are suffering anxiety attacks, going to the wellness center during class times, and divisions have formed within the music program, fracturing bonds that many thought could not be fractured. It is possible for a teacher to have a mentor relationship with a student. It is possible for a teacher to care for students and to act in a caring way, but the way in which Mr. Hasegawa did it was completely unacceptable. He has gone too far, and he should not have been viewing students as close friends. There's no other way to say it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Can I get Carly up to the stage? Thank you. Stage. Podium.
Hello, my name is Carly Hillen, and I would like to share my point of view regarding Mr. Hasegawa's role as band director at Castro Valley High School. According to the information that I have been given, Mr. Hasegawa will not return to CVHS this school year. However, he will be returning as band director the following year. Due to information that's recently surfaced, many people, including myself, are uncomfortable with Mr. Hasegawa returning as director next year. Instead, we ask for his removal and a new director to be hired for the following years. I've heard several accounts of incidents regarding Mr. Hasegawa, and I know there have been cases beyond the ones I am aware of. Accounts of this behavior are more than enough to make me concerned about the safety of myself and my peers. Mr. Hasegawa's returning presence as the band director creates an uncomfortable environment for many of us. I know that many of my peers share this sentiment and would be forced to leave the music department entirely if Mr. Hasegawa returns. As the Board of Education, you are responsible for ensuring that we are safe in our school environment. If something is not done about this issue, many students do not feel as if we will be safe. To be frank, the fact that this behavior is being dealt with in such a superficial manner is disturbing.
To me, it communicates that the protection of our students is not being treated with the level of importance that it should be. We are left wondering if we must continue to be afraid for our safety or if action will be taken to foster a safe environment for the students of CVHS and our band. I ask you to please take action in protecting the safety of our music students. Thank you for listening.
Kaz, can you join us up at the podium? Thank you.
Hello, board members. My name is Kaz Chung. I'm currently a junior at Castro Valley High School, and I have been part of this district music program for 7 years. As you already heard, our band teacher, Mr. Hasagawa, has been absent for the past month due to recent discoveries of inappropriate messages sent to a 9th grade girl on his laptop. 1 month has passed. 1 month, and the administration has given only the bare minimum of information on this situation. Due to the nature of the events that occurred, events that hurt multiple students, there is no way to justify the lack of communication on part of the school. This is why we have chosen to speak here today. Now I will elaborate on the specific evidence we have received and gathered so far. These include text messages to yet another female student displaying unprofessional and manipulative behavior towards them. The messages also guilt-tripped the student on multiple occasions, repeatedly discussing personal problems such as mental health and claiming that the student would be the one to make him feel better. Several messages also ask for physical affection from the student. No teacher should ask that of a student, period. We students are the people primarily at risk in this situation. I believe we deserve at least some transparency in how this case is being handled by administration. I have personally witnessed incidents of Mr. Hasagawa behaving inappropriately towards students, not just in the manner described previously, but to more extremes, such as hitting and throwing objects and showing blatant, unabashed favoritism. I have seen him buy food and drinks for specific students repeatedly, as well as give them rides to and from events in their homes. During lunch and after school, his office almost always has multiple girls in it, conversing with him with the door closed. I believe that Mr. Hasagawa sees me as a female, hence his kinder treatment to me as opposed to the people he sees as boys in our class. I find it extremely off-putting how the way he addresses students depends on the gender he sees them as. I find it difficult to believe that we are trying to attack him over personal vendettas. Mr. Hasagawa has not been cruel to me personally at all, once, not at all. Yet I am still here protesting today because I believe his actions towards my peers were wrong. Not only is addressing this issue important to preserve the safety of our students, it is important to preserve the future of the district's music program as a whole. Last year, our government passed Prop 28, which will provide approximately $1 billion in funding for arts and music education every year. We cannot improve our music programs if the students participating in it are in an unsafe learning environment. I have been dedicated to music for over half of my life, and I refuse to let a program that I and so many other people hold dear crumble because action is not being taken against the threat presented to us. If Mr. Hasagawa is not removed as the band director of Castro Valley High School, we are willing to take our music education into our own hands and find outside resources to learn from instead. I, along with many of my peers, do not feel comfortable with Mr. Hasagawa returning to our school. We want our music program to grow and thrive under a new director, one that makes us feel safe to be in the classroom. Please take our thoughts and opinions into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaz. Deborah?
Hi, my name is Deborah Keener, and I'm speaking as a concerned parent. I have 2 children in the district. I'm here to express grave concerns regarding the admin's handling of the situation. It was my daughter, Miriam, who stumbled upon the grossly inappropriate messages sent from Mr. Hasagawa to a freshman student. Last week, when we were informed that this teacher would be returning to the classroom, I found this almost impossible to fathom, given what I had seen on those messages. My husband and I requested a meeting with Dr. Fortenberry, and on Monday, we and some other parents met with Dr. Fortenberry and Dr. Zamora. In that meeting, Dr. Zamora stated that the administration had not called CPS on this matter as they had made their report to the Alameda County Sheriff, which was enough. Dr. Zamora also asked us not to relay the photographic evidence that we had to the board. Concerned that the proper authorities had not been fully apprised of the situation, our family contacted CPS and the Alameda County Sheriff. When the sheriff came to our home to collect our daughter's statement and the photographic evidence that she had, they stated that they had not received this evidence prior to receiving it that night. It was later confirmed, this was also later confirmed by another representative in the sheriff's department. So it appears that in making their mandated report, the administration withheld the most concrete evidence that they had against this teacher. The sheriff reported to us that there is an open criminal investigation into this teacher for possible sexual abuse of a minor. To know that this teacher was set to return to the classroom under these circumstances is frankly horrifying. I believe that it has only been through the efforts of these brave students in this room that he is not returning to the classroom this year. It also raises concerns to me, of course, that he may return to the classroom at some time in the future. It also raises concerns regarding how the administration may have handled similar concerns in the past and makes me wonder who else may be in our classrooms teaching our students. I want to make clear again that it appears that the administration did not report all the evidence that they had of child abuse to the proper authorities as required by law. The Sheriff's Department, also apparently concerned about this, has asked that anyone who has any further evidence report it directly to the Sheriff's Department and not to the administration. Thank you and have a good night.
John, could you please come up? John?
Good afternoon. My name is John O'Hara. I've been a resident and member of Castro Valley community for the last 18 years. We have had children in the public schools here for the past 13. I'm here today in support of our students who have exhibited tremendous courage by showing up and demanding accountability from this body in its responsibility to create a physically and psychologically safe learning environment for our children. Let me be clear, I'm not interested in rumors or in maligning anyone's reputation. I'm also not here to apply any kind of tactical pressure on the system to run out the clock on Asagawa returning this school year or next year. I'm here tonight to demand that when credible evidence of harassment or inappropriate behavior by a teacher is presented to school administrators, that district leadership do its job and ensure that evidence is fully reported to law enforcement. When my family received an email last week informing us that a teacher who had been under investigation was scheduled to return to the classroom, my wife and I were gravely concerned. When we went directly to law enforcement, we learned that there is still an active investigation underway. None of the evidence shared by students to open the investigation was turned over by school administration. Orders not to cooperate with law enforcement came from, in the words of the sergeant I spoke to, came from higher up. As a result, I have no confidence in the school district to appropriately handle this matter. Sheriff's Office requests that anyone with evidence or statements regarding this teacher contact them directly and refer to the case number, which I can share. As parents, we have a moral obligation to join these students in defending their rights. We need to know, and our kids need to know, that this system works. And when it doesn't work, these kids need to know that they can organize and hold the system accountable to effect change. Thank you.
Thank you all for your comments. As I stated earlier, we cannot respond. We will move on to our consent agenda, and thank you so much for sharing. We'll move on to the consent agenda, item 10. This is an action item.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Student Board Member Hanson,
Yes.
Trustee Raymond,
Yes.
Trustee Howard,
Yes.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
Vice President Kuziak.
Yes.
The motion pass, and I will vote yes. So well, motion passes 6-0. Thank you. We will move on to reports, discussions, and action items. And we are going to open our public hearing, present the sunshine proposals from CVUSD and CSEA on article reopeners. Is there any public comment?
So annually, both the The school district and CSEA provide openers for negotiations. So we look forward to working with CSEA on the articles that have opened as well as ours on our site. And so we'll start in mid-May to start the negotiation process.
Since there are no comments, I will close the public hearing. Thank you, Dr. Zamora. We'll move on to item 11B, approved personnel report.
I move that we approve the personnel report.
Second it. I second it.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Raymond,
Yes.
Trustee Howard,
Yes.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
Vice President Kuziak.
Yes, President Whitaker.
And I will vote yes. The motion passes 5-0. We will move to item 11C, Resolution 572223.
Good evening, members of the board and district community. I'm Jonathan Salt. And before
Jonathan,
the
can you hold on a second?
Sure.
So we can start. All right, so we actually have our attorney doing the presentation online. And this is item 11D, adopting the resolution to initiate a transition to a bi-trustee area election system, commencing with the 2024 governing board elections. So, Mr. Salt.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board and district staff and community. I'm Jonathan Salt, and I'm going to give a brief overview of the California Voting Rights Act before the board considers the resolution. Next slide. The California Voting Rights Act, or CVRA, took effect about 20 years ago, and it says that if a public entity in California uses an at-large election system like the district currently does, if that system impairs the ability of members of protected classes from electing candidates of choice or its ability to influence the outcome of an election, then that at-large system might violate the CVRA. Next slide. In California, intent is not required, so the district, by having at-large elections, need not intend to discriminate against protected classes or violate CVRA in order to be found in violation of the CVRA. So it's very easy for a plaintiff to bring an action in California alleging a CVRA violation. Next slide. So the only way to be safe from CVRA lawsuits is to switch from an at-large to a bi-trustee area, or sometimes called a bi-district or district-based election system, where the district will be divided into 5 roughly equal population areas, and a board member will be elected from each area only by the voters who live in that same area. Importantly, this does not impact anybody's current term, but eventually over time, should the board go down this road, there will ultimately become 5 trustee areas and 1 board member will be elected from each area. Next slide. The recent legislation has sort of outlined how this transition occurs. And so we'll kind of walk through that now. So potential next steps, next 2 slides. The first step to make this kind of transition is to pass the resolution that the board has in front of it tonight. That essentially says the board intends to establish bi-trustee area elections. And this starts a 90-day window to go through a series of public hearings. The first 2 public hearings are called pre-map public hearings. And they're called that because you're not allowed to draw any draft maps until you hold these public hearings to solicit feedback from the board and the community about sort of potential boundaries that might make sense. So for example, I think, such and such street might be a good boundary, or I think these 2 neighborhoods should be tried to kept in the same trustee area, that kind of thing. Next slide. Then a demographer, a professional demographer, will draw draft map options. There's a series of criteria that must be followed in order for the maps to be lawful. Equal population is the number 1 criteria, so that there's, like with, Congress, each trustee area needs to have about the same number of people in it, not how many people have students in the district, but total people based on the census. And it to comply with the Federal Voting Rights Act, so we can't draw the maps that intentionally break up communities of protected class members. The areas have to be geographically contiguous, so you can't start drawing an area on this part of the district, then stop and then draw somewhere else and say that those are both the same trustee area. They have to be connected. We look at things like communities of interest and compactness. You don't want areas that have weird squiggly lines. You want them to sort of make sense to the extent possible. And the maps can't be drawn to favor or discriminate against an incumbent political candidate or party. So what that means is really a line can't be drawn just solely because a board member lives here. Let's go grab them and put them into that area. Next slide. After the maps are drawn, or at least the first drafts of them are drawn, there'll be a series of public hearings where community members and the board can discuss and comment on the map options. In theory, there can be adjustments made. So folks might like a certain map, but want to see some tweaks to it, that kind of thing. And then ultimately the board will then vote on which map option it's choosing to serve as the board and district's map for elections moving forwards. After that, the county committee has to approve of the transition. So the district will ask the county to approve of it. And ordinarily, that would then require a public vote, not on which map is best, but on just the transition generally. Next slide. But that public vote is waivable by application to the State Board of Education, which is on their consent agenda. And because the consent agenda up there to get on it takes about 5 months, recently the law has been amended to make it so that the county can actually just be the final step in the process. So kind of streamlining the waiver process. The county's approval essentially will serve as the final approval for this system to be implemented. Next slide. After that, you'll hold your next elections under the new system. Next slide. And a couple things to keep in mind, the map is not permanent. So every time the new census comes out, so next time will be 2031, you have to look at the map and see if you still have that population balance. If you have one area of town that has a lot of high growth since the last census, the map will have to be adjusted, excuse me, to get back into balance. So the map's good for essentially a decade. Next slide. And the last and most important thing is this doesn't change the overall boundaries of the district. It doesn't change where anybody goes to school. It doesn't even change how the board governs. The board members elected in this new system still owe a duty to the entire district. It's still one district with common goals and challenges. Next slide. So with that, I will stand down here for any questions that anybody has about this process. And should the board go through with approving this resolution, I'll be there in person moving forward.
I just want to, oh, there is a public comment. Okay. So let's see if we can do public comment on the agenda item. Hello, Netta.
Yes, hi. I had some concerns that weren't addressed in what I just heard. So I don't know if you guys can hear me. If anything happens, I sent what I wanted to say to Amy, but I'm concerned about the rush to vote on this change. It's a pretty big change for public elections, and I didn't really hear why we are not meeting the from what I read of the verbiage, you have to not be meeting the expectations in order to enact this. And I know that diversity is a top priority in our school district, and one of the reasons why I love our district and our superintendent and administrators so much. And I know it's certainly a priority in our community for me as well. And I trust our team of trustees, and I ask that you really look into this very carefully before voting on it. Regarding these trustee districts, I don't understand why we would, for example, have to have 5 instead of maybe just 2 areas with multiple trustees. We're such a small town. Our community is small, and I don't really feel that we have a division in town that would give any additional representation for any minority groups, or I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of data missing that needs to be presented to understand what the benefit would be for the community in this. And I also want to mention that we have a very high number of families renting in our community, and that by dividing like this, it really causes a lot of problems because renters are constantly having to move in different areas of our small town because homeowners sell or move back. And when that happens, it really would cause a problem here because they'll be in different districts every time. They may not feel that they can run for the school board because they may not be in that same district for a long enough period of time. So I'm not sure again that I see a benefit here. In fact, it seems to be a detriment for our community. And I just ultimately feel that I would need to see data to understand why we need to implement this act that I haven't seen. And it just seemed like it really came up really fast. I was surprised to see it on the agenda. And I understand the serious concern of litigation, but I think that we need to see more publicly available information to justify implementing this act. So I'm hoping that you can defer the vote until more information is prepared to show the need for dividing into voting districts. And if there's shown to be a need and a benefit to our minority groups for improving diversity by dividing, I would be the first person to support it. But I just need to see that it wouldn't cause a detriment to the groups that we're trying to uplift and protect. And that's always my biggest concern. So thank you for your time and your consideration and making sure that we have all the information we need before making such a dramatic change to our public voting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, I'm really sorry to hear about Ryman leaving. That's really sad to me. And thanks.
Thank you, Netta. So obviously Netta mentioned litigation and we were going to ask more a little bit about that, but what are the implications to the district if we don't vote yes today?
Is that directed to me?
Yes, it is. Sorry.
Sure.
Yes, Jonathan, please go ahead.
So on the April 12th agenda, attached to that agenda, publicly available, is a demand letter that the district received. And so when a school district or a city receives a demand letter saying you need to switch your system or we're going to sue you, the district has a 45-day window to decide what to do. And we are coming up on the end of that window. Then once starting the process, you're safe again for another 90 days. So if the district doesn't move forwards with the transition and ends up in litigation, it could cost millions and millions of dollars, and has for the public entities that have tried to fight these types of demand letters. So unfortunately, there's not a ton of evidence that has to be shown up front by the prospective plaintiff in order to, still have it be something that would be expensive to fight. Thus far in California, not a single public entity has successfully and cleanly come out safely on the other side.
Thank you, Jonathan. We have some questions in the room, Vice President. Oh,
Can I
yeah, go ahead.
add a couple of things that are the person talked about? So that's the reason for having different maps, so that you can say, not this one, not this one, this one. So that it's actually the way that you feel as a community it would be. In addition to that, there's a lot of materials. There are steps, things that will be online, things that will be available for everybody in the forum, in the newspaper, in public, all sorts of materials and information, just so people are aware.
Vice President Kuziak?
Yeah, I have multiple questions, so I just want to, is it okay if I do mine, or do we want to go?
Please do yours. Thank you.
And mostly directed towards you, and then I think I have one for the superintendent. Can you just explain again, is there any other outcome other than us having to support this? Like, it seems like we're being told as a governing board, you either say yes or no, and if you don't say yes, you can get sued. What are the parameters in the demand letter we received, where we could provide a counter offer and say, oh, well, we're Castro Valley, we're going to try to, we support the intent here, but we want to do it our way in support of that intent. Does that make sense?
Sort of. I think what you were saying is, are there more options besides do this or don't do this and get sued?
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, kind of, but it would depend on what the prospective plaintiffs do. You can ignore the letter or tell them that we're not going to do it, or explain that the district is diverse and that this wouldn't benefit the district, but then it would be on them to decide if they file litigation or not. And the way the law is written, even if these particular plaintiffs said, you know what, actually, never mind, we shouldn't have written this letter, someone else can just send you the letter the next day. So unfortunately, the options are fairly limited to fight it or change. I mean, there are ways to make it more personal. The district can have as many meetings as it wants to in the timeline. There are different ways of doing outreach. Should the board go through this process, like the superintendent was saying, This will get out there. It'll be on social media. People will be invited. There'll be a letter that goes to everybody, inviting them to all the different meetings to provide feedback online if they can't come to meetings. Is there an option to delay and not do this right now and wait, a year and then look at it again? The board can choose to do that, but we don't have control over what the plaintiffs would do about it.
Yeah, I think what I'm asking more is, I'll just say one of my favorite courses in grad school was about electoral systems, where you think about like ranked choice voting. Do you have overlapping multi-member districts, et cetera? I'm just noting that this is saying this is the one solution. You have to have 5 districts. Is there room in there for us to explore other remedies we believe could support diversity of this board? And
that's a helpful clarification. So first, I believe the public comment speaker, I said, what about, maybe just 2 areas that are by trustee area, that kind of thing. And what the CVRA explicitly says is any system that mixes trustee areas and at large is defined as at large and therefore susceptible to a CVRA claim. In terms of ranked choice voting, there isn't anything about ranked choice voting that would make it so that if you have ranked choice voting or some other kind of system like that, that would mean that the at-large system itself, which it would still be at large even with ranked choice voting, therefore it's still susceptible to CVRA litigation.
And I think I just had 2 more questions for you. Again, can you explain to me why we should not put this to a vote in Castro Valley? Why should we not have voters make this decision if we were to make this transition?
Meaning if the board goes through the process, has the public hearings, picks a map, asks the county approves of it, why not put it for the ballot at that point?
Well, to say to the public, it's your decision whether or not we're going to transition to this system. Why would we not ask the public how they want to elect, whether it's by district or if it's by community-wide?
I mean, we'd have to pay a fee for anything that we put on the ballot. So that would impact our total budget. I mean, Jonathan, you can explain more, but.
Yeah, there are a couple of reasons besides that elections are expensive. If the public votes it down, then a plaintiff will turn around and take that election result and say, see, this is why you need trustee area elections. It actually happened in Glendale in 2013. 10 days later, they put it for a vote. And then 10 days after that vote failed, they were sued.
Got it. Okay, so my last question for you, and then I do have one for Superintendent Amati. Could we agree to this and just say, we agree, we're going to do this. I'm mindful of what happens in summertime as a parent of 2 kids in schools and where these families go. And I know we have a lot of great ways to engage our community where we're experimenting with some ways of doing it. I am a big fan of democracy for Castro Valley, public engagement. What if we were to say something like, okay, we're going to do this, but we're going to do it on our timeline. We commit to the 2024 election, but we're going to take additional time so we engage our community. Is that something that we could do?
Yes, but not entirely your own decision. So you have the 90-day window that would start today if the board were to adopt the resolution. And just looking at your kind of board calendar for the next couple of months, I think that the process would end at the board's regularly scheduled June 28th board meeting. So it wouldn't head into July. However, if the board wanted more time, the law does allow up to an extra 90 days, but it would require written agreement by the prospective plaintiff. And so oftentimes when that happens, they may put additional conditions on what it is that they want to see either in the map or in the election sequencing or in just the outreach generally. And so it's certainly allowable to try to engage and enter into that agreement, but there's no need to enter into any kind of agreement with the prospective plaintiffs.
Because there's a risk if you're engaging them of additional conditions.
Yes, but you can, this is like, it's very fast, right? The way that the law is written, it's a very fast timeline. You have to have these 2 first public hearings in a 30-day window, and then the next ones have to happen in a 45-day window, all of it, under 90. And that's just the way the law is written. And of course, you could have gotten this demand letter 6 months from now and still been done in plenty of time for 2024 if the board, chose to proceed then. But this is when you got the letter, so this is when the timeline starts.
And this is my last question. It's for the superintendent who has more history on this. It's more, the district hasn't pursued this in the past. Has this been something that other trustees have talked about, or that has it been an issue? Has it come up before?
Several districts have had it. We never received the letter. We didn't have a conversation at the board level.
So Gary eyed me and reminded me that we need to do a motion in a second before we can have further discussion. Well, it's discussion. So if we want to go into further discussion, Gary.
You know, excuse me, none of us like this. I think that's for sure. But, and we could have done all the things that you said last year.
Are you going to make a motion? Because
I am in a, well,
so okay, so I
I
just
was
wanna make
hoping
sure
I
we're following
was hoping I would
process.
get my 3 minutes.
No, because he has his questions, but Sarah's next. So I just want to make sure she gets her.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the resolution.
I'll second.
And further discussion will go Sarah and Gary.
Thank you so much. So most of my questions have been already touched on. I will just share that I do have concern myself about pushing the minimum of 5 meetings and the map drawing process into the next 90 days because a good 30 of those days approximately, kids and families, teachers, everyone's already on vacation. One of my kids will have already been to and returned from summer camp, for instance. So, I just want to make sure that we're being mindful in that conversation. You know, I will say that I am not fundamentally opposed to doing this. I just want to make sure that the conversation is mindful and the conversation is accessible and inclusive. And so, I guess, and you know, Attorney Salt, I'm an attorney as well, so I understand that there are, you know, risks to every choice that we make, you know, with respect to this sort of thing, because we don't know where a plaintiff is feeling, you know, on this and what the temperature is, and is this plaintiff in particular one who's like, let's do it immediately, don't give them any extra time to think, don't give them extra time to talk, or are they like, we just want it done by the next election? And is there a way for us to get that information? I know that you have reached out to plaintiff's counsel, but I don't know that that sort of temperature taking has happened.
If the board gives direction, we can open up that dialogue. If that's what the board would like to do. You know, it just may come with conditions that maybe we don't want, but that is something that we can certainly talk about. Again, it's up to the board if you would like me to have that discussion.
Have you had clients do that in the past, like districts do that? And what kind of conditions would the plaintiffs potentially have in front of them to put in front of us?
I've had one do it, and I've probably helped 4 or 5 dozen school districts with this kind of transition. And the one was, it was a timing issue where everything was going to be over the summer, not, you know, April, May, June, but everything was going to be, you know, almost none of it was going to be during the school year. And the conditions were, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, it was, you know, whatever area had the largest percentage of a certain protected class had to be one that you put up for election first. And those plaintiffs were very reasonable. I've also seen, you know, I've heard of other ones where it was, you know, you need to use the demographer that I pick, my demographer, or that kind of thing.
Okay. I guess just one of my concerns is that we're basically at the end of April. You know, it's the 26th, right? And so we have May, and kids and schools done what, June 1st or 2nd? It's like over really soon. We've got like a month, you know? And so I do feel like we are trying to cram a lot of information in a way where the community is not necessarily going to be as engaged and present as we might like it to be. So I do share those concerns about how we're approaching this. I don't know how we remedy that within the scope of what we're being asked to do tonight.
I'm going to move on to Gary, and I want you to know that I did see Sarah's hand go up first. So just FYI, I wasn't missing you. Go ahead, Gary.
It's a distasteful process, but I think that the governor and the legislature have foreclosed most of our options. You know, the law is the law. They even changed it to add additional restrictions. So, you know, it's not our fault that we're against the wall, but we are. I mean, in my opinion, the best thing to do here is to get through this as fast as we can and just put it behind us. Because I don't know what the plaintiff would think, but it seems to me that he has every incentive to sue us the moment we miss a deadline. We're already in the hole with this guy. So I don't see any reason to wait around. I think we should just move on.
So I want to say something too, and then I'll go to Dolly. So one thing that's really concerning for me is that obviously that, you know, that we don't have a choice, and the fiscal implications possibility, we're going to be in negotiations. I can't see how CBTA would be comfortable with us putting our financial risks on the line at all. And I would be very uncomfortable. And I think that we have the staff available and to be able to do the public comment in the right way in the timing, we'll make it happen. But I would be very uncomfortable trying to change any of the process outside of the timeline, getting conditions from someone who's obviously looking to get financial money from us. And I would like to go forward as is. Dolly?
Okay, so I guess I can't say, you know, that it affects me most, but I of course have had a dream of moving somewhere else in Castro Valley. And I just have to say that, you know, I probably can't do that, you know, when we go forward with this. And, you know, I mean, I want to live in Castro Valley, but I thought, of course, you know, I could live anywhere in Castro Valley. And now that doesn't seem possible. So I'm just very sad about that. You know, I mean, I'm probably I'm going to vote for it because it's best for the district. I vote against my own personal things all the time when I vote for taxes and things for transportation and healthcare and the environment and all of those sorts of things all the time. I vote against my own personal interests for the interest of the larger community. And I guess that's what will happen here too.
And then Sarah?
I just have comments to make. I've asked all my questions, but you know, I take seriously as a white male on this board with some of the public comments that were made, particularly in the last election cycle. And as someone who's a progressive, someone who believes in democracy, who believes in community organizing and bringing this community together in a community that is unincorporated without local municipal governance, where we don't have the right to vote for our own local government. I take this very seriously. I've thought about this a lot, and I'm disappointed that I think a solution is being forced on us that I don't think is trying to achieve that which we want to achieve. I put a blame on this community. I see our civic institutions in this town consistently not welcome members from people that don't look like me, right? I see a hostility consistently over the years where there's not that self-reflection in a lot of our community organizations. I put it on our political parties, civic organizations, and like so many things, I think this district is being told to solve a problem that I think in our actions and every day we demonstrate that we care about the diversity of this community. We care about it tremendously. I do take issue with many of the data points in the letter that we received. It misidentified many of our board members and didn't acknowledge their backgrounds and who they were. It misidentified what our community is. Some of the data points that were in there. It didn't distinguish between the Castro Valley Unified School District versus the Castro Valley General Plan area. As you know, about a third of our community in Castro Valley is a part of the Hayward Unified District, but that's also a part of the Castro Valley General Plan area. So I'm taking objection just to I think there's a lot of work to be done in this community, and I hope that our civic organizations can reflect more about who they're welcoming into their spaces, how they're doing it, and I'm proud of the work this district does to support that. I'm concerned about the socioeconomic issues of how our communities could be divided. I just think that it could really segregate us in ways around class lines that maybe we don't appreciate at this point. I'm concerned about renters. And I think that's fair. If someone is renting and wants to run for school board, and I know some other fellow lawmakers who have done this, and they, as renters, it's a problem for them. So I'm reluctant in many ways to support this. I think we're being pushed in a corner, and but I will absolutely support our engagement to ensure that it's representative. And I think the one thing that maybe we should consider in the future, I have a real problem. It really makes me anxious to think that we will be asked as a board to approve maps. I philosophically have a big issue with that. I don't want to choose my own districts. I don't think that's right. That's not the, no, I mean, but it's about the power to the people. It's about the power in our democracy. It's not about me deciding, this district, no matter how tough I fight it, there's going to be some self-interest in there, right? So I hope that if there's a way for us to build other policies, maybe we can introduce an independent redistricting component to this, et cetera. But I just call to any elected official and civic organizations of this town to do a lot better in fighting for candidates and identifying candidates, supporting candidates that can better reflect our community, because we already see that future in our school district and it needs to be reflected here.
I had Sarah raise her hand first and then Gary.
Just want to wholeheartedly second everything that Vice President Kuziak has said today about democracy in Castro Valley. And I do feel that this is a really anti-democratic process. But again, I'm not fundamentally opposed to it. That being said, I have two last questions. Hopefully they're quick. One for our attorney. You mentioned that any district that also has area trustees, but also an at-large would be considered at-large. What about overlapping trustee areas? Is that considered at-large?
So I'm not sure what you mean by overlapping trustee areas.
Well, what if we drew a map and, for lack of a better descriptor, it looked more like a Venn diagram, like where there's circles and they overlap?
I'm just thinking offhand from my experience, I'm not sure how that would. One, I certainly don't think that it would meet what the CVRA is talking about, but it also would just be odd. So somebody would be in two different trustee areas or more. I'm not sure how that would. I haven't seen anything like that before, but I don't believe that it's a viable option to be safe from CVRA litigation.
Okay. And then the other thing I was going to ask, this would be a question of Superintendent Amadi. Can we get a commitment to do maybe a thought exchange to engage participation? I'm really impressed with how that worked with the Prop 28 canvassing, for instance, and I would love to see us use that tool. And I think that might help with engagement for people who are not going to be available to come to meetings, because I feel like we're really not going to have people available.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that is a part of the plan. And Ms. Kayer is already working with Mr. Saul to get that going. Definitely.
Trustee Howard?
I'll be brief. I think the unfortunate thing here is the legislature could have just defined at-large districts as not in keeping with the Civil Rights Act and just directed everybody to change at one time and said, change within the next X period of time. But having said that, I think we're replowing ground here. Can we move on to a vote? We've got a couple of other long items on the agenda.
Yes. Student Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Trustee Raymond.
Yes.
Trustee Howard.
Yes.
Trustee Adams.
Yes.
Vice President Kuziak.
Yes, President Whitaker.
And I will vote yes. The motion passes 6-0. We'll move on to our summer school program presentation.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel so bad that you're having to wait so long. But come on over this summer school program, Dr. Ryman, if you want to start us off. Thank you so much. And of course, poor Sharon has to wait till the end.
Absolutely. So we're very excited to share a bit about our summer school program for this coming summer. We have 3 of our summer school administrators that will be presenting. We have Patrick Hansen-Schmidt, Jennifer Blackman, and of course, our new coordinator, Sam Brewer, who will be principal of ESY this summer. So without further ado, I'll pass it off to Mr. Hansen-Schmidt.
Hello, hello. So as Dr. Rahman said, I'm Pat Hansen-Schmidt, current principal of Independent Elementary, and I will also be the summer school principal at Independence campus. So just like in years past, we're going to be having summer school focused on English language arts and mathematics, along with a special English language development component to it, serving kids from exiting kindergarten to exiting 4th grade. So those 5 grade levels. Our goals, like in years past, are to mitigate those learning gaps that we're seeing throughout this school year. We want to maintain the small class sizes that we've had in the past, keeping classes between like 15 to 20 students, whereas normally it'd be 25 to 32 during the school year. And we want to encourage students to become more engaged in school and empower them in their own learning. And we're also taking this opportunity to build our site leadership pipeline. One of our principals for summer school is a current teacher at Van Noy. Like I said, one of the principals is Gina Kim, who is a current Van Noy teacher. She's going to be doing the principalship at Stanton with Vivian Parator, who is a familiar name to most of you. She's coming back for summer school, and I'll be at Independent. Summer school dates are June 12th to June 30th, with no school on June 19th, and we'll be from 8 o'clock to 11:30 every day, Monday through Friday. So slight change from years past. It's only going to be 3 weeks this year versus 4 for the past 2 that we've had. And like I said at the start, we're going to focus on English language arts, doing modeled, shared, guided, and independent reading and writing. And math is an extension of the current Eureka curriculum, focusing on those essential standards that teachers have been developing. And ELD is going to be focusing on speaking, listening, reading, and writing for our upper grade students. This is what the summer school schedule will look like. Students will arrive at 8 o'clock. You can see those ELA and math essential components, along with an end of the day focus on English language arts or other intervention/practice for students who don't have that designation. And then they'll be leaving at 11:30. And I'm going to go ahead and pass this off to Sam Brewer.
Good evening. Thanks, everyone. So I'll be talking about ESY, providing a brief overview. I know it's late, so my be brief and available for questions if those are required. Before I provide that overview, I just want to note that separate from the extended school year program, resource support will be provided at the Gen Ed summer school program at Castro Valley High School. So resource specialists will be assigned one for every site, actually, not just at the high school. So extended school year, we're seeing the dates here. This year, typically it's 19 days. This year it's 18 days. And you're seeing in observance of Juneteenth, no school on June 19th. We're running programs at Alma and Independent pre-K programs at both of those sites. All of the elementary extended school year sites, again, this is for students with IEPs, will be at Independent. Castro Valley High School will host ESY for students at middle and high. And then at Redwood High School, our counseling enriched SDC classroom and the adult transition programs. Those will be running at Redwood High. So quick, extended school year briefly, it's a specific service that lives in the IEP team. Again, the I in IEP is individual. So for each individual student and their profile, the IEP team weighs in on whether or not that student requires extended school year service. And it's a minority of students. I'd say probably fewer than 20% of our kiddos with IEPs, maybe more than 15 qualify on their IEP. Not all of them show up. A lot of them have summer plans and opt to take vacations, and that's fine. But this is really based on a concern about regression over extended school breaks, summer being the biggest, but winter breaks and Thanksgiving, spring break. These are times that we look at a student's regression beyond the typical range. We all go to sleep a little bit over summer breaks. This is for students where there's a concern that they won't be able to maintain their progress. So that's the intention of the extended school year. ESY provides continued instruction support and in some instances direct services related to individual goal areas. Again, this is very individualized. This is a small group. And it's not a time to be working on new skills or launching something new. This is a time to make sure that some of our most vulnerable students don't lose some of the ground that they've worked hard to gain. Okay. With that, I'll pass it off to Ms. Black.
Good evening. We've been here for a few hours, so I'm going to move through this. Some of this is repeat from last year, but it's going to be me and Mr. Hindi. We are sharing the job. He's a vice principal right now at Castro Valley High School. So let's get at this. So again, we are looking at the 18 days for the high school program, the ELD program, and then 14 days for the middle school program. So it's going to line a little bit more towards the elementary. There will be an orientation prior to summer school starting, and then we are going to have a counselor, social worker, and communication with parents is really key to try to get them through the 4 weeks. And there'll be a ton of ways to earn credits and units, right, which is really important to us. All right, here's an example of the schedule. It is very similar to last year. We'll have the first session will be from 8 to 10. Then we'll have our break that we always have, and then the second session will be from 10:30 to 12:30. Same program with the credit recovery, because again, they will just have more electives. We do have some of the Redwood kids on our campus. As you know, everyone's just doing credit recovery. Okay. And they will have more subject options, right? So you may see some science electives, other things to help them earn those credits. All right, this also talks about the LTELs. So this year for our ELD program, we are going to be concentrating on our LTELs. 10 of those kids have been ELD for 5+ years, potential LTELs, and trying to close that gap to help them try to get more skills, right? All right, and then we have the credit repair program. Again, that's on Edgenuity. We have a bunch of courses kind of happening at the same time. And they're mostly in person in the sense of the facilitator is watching them with their progress on Edgenuity, and they will try to complete. I've seen someone try to complete up to 3 courses in this time. So the teacher is great for that, and she does a lot of office hour support and a lot of hours even after these summer school hours. And again, those Edgenuity courses are A through G. All right, so as you know, the math program, we were up in there and what we were doing, we are doing Edgenuity again. Okay, so there would be a facilitation. However, we are offering some small group instruction, and and then the math teachers are going to be doing more tutorials and monitoring the work. So we are hoping to do flexible seat time and then do the study hall to really try to push the kids this year. So we're hoping for a faster and more progress for the kids. All right. So the high school, again, credit recovery is a big focus to make those graduation requirements. So the online credit recovery program, again, we'll look at all credit recovery options. So we have the Edgenuity that's going to happen online. You could be taking a class in person, and then you may have some other work you're doing online outside of through office hours to still complete credits, open the test, that kind of stuff for the students. All right, so while we're doing just summer school credit recovery enrichment for both the middle school is more enrichment, right? And for the credit recovery, we are having the transition support programs this year, and we're also having a new one. All right, so one of the ones we're having is the middle school program. So the middle school program, they do 2 days at Creekside, and then the 3rd day they go to their campus site. What do those look like? Last year it was they did assemblies, right? They also did a whole thing around connection and building community. So it was less rigor and more about just like, hey, this is where you're going to be. This is your space. All right. I do want you to realize that the Step Up program, we are doing like school referrals to it to try to grab those kids with either emotional needs, behavioral needs, just to transition them a little easier. That will be through guidance counselors, and both Step Up programs. Marion Meadows has a big leg in that. Okay. So we will be working with guidance counselors, and it will be approximately, we'll see how many kids actually join, right? We really want as many kids as possible, with like 90 at each level. So that's kind of a lot because summer plans, but there is a tour, there is assemblies, like I said, and then there's mindfulness, connection, community building. When it comes to web is a program that's a little bit different because it's kind of peer ran. We have, I think they have 118 web leaders that they are going to go through a training, and then they will be connected, and it will be 2 leaders to every 10 kids, and they are going to play games, tell them all about middle school, all about the binder reminder, all about the secrets too. So they're going to feel like they're in the know. So I'm super excited about us both having our big web programs, and it looks like that has our biggest turnout. I also want you guys to be aware we will have special ed supports. So that will help too. The aides will come and help the kids as needed. All right, so Step Up at the High School. Step Up at the High School is kind of similar. Funny, interesting fact is Link crew members are a lot of web leaders in middle school. So there's a lot of overlap there. And they do a big welcoming thing at the beginning. They really want them, because both our campus is big, the high school campus is even bigger. They really wanted to try to connect them to the wellness center and the wellness center staff. Like, what do the social workers do? How can they help you? What is the wellness center? So there's going to be a lot of that. Of course, they will have the tour, and then they have some games kind of building connection, but also building trust. They do a lot of trust activities and that kind of thing. They have the music and stuff just to get them going. But again, this is a time that they're looking to just give them direction and get them ready so they can transition a little easier. And they're asking for 90 students as well involved in that. So we're looking at a lot of fun activities, but also just getting you connected. All right, this is our new program. It's called the College Boot Camp kind of thing that's going to be going on. It is going to be all about college applications. It's going to be starting for the class of 2024. So I did ask to see who's running this. So Zuckerbrow, this is at the Career Center. Zuckerbrow's got this really, so she's hoping to cover, the amount of topics was extreme. I was like, wow, you're going to really get into this. So when you are, as they come into that program for the college preparedness, they're looking at just general qualifications. They're going to talk to parents about what they need to do. They also are going to look at your, they're going to be doing this case study process. Why do you get accepted? Why do you get denied? They're also going to be looking at kind of what letters of rec would look like, the different workshops. And then they also said they're going to try to do the site interest, the personal site interest questions, and start working on just what do you need to say? How do you say this in a few words? And so your application stands out. Now, this is going to be focused mainly on a certain focal group population. So this group is not going to be as big, okay, as some of the other groups. So I'm hoping that this does, extend the extra support that they're hoping to get kids into their choice of university, and then just give them direction and kind of a leg up in that application process over summer. All right, so overall, we're gonna do some small class sizes. We're gonna do some community building. We are gonna have an RSP, which makes me really happy at all these school sites. We're gonna focus on the LTELs, kind of in the ELD forum. And then we are also gonna just do some overall enrichment and credit recovery. Okay, we are gonna stay with Edgenuity, but this summer we're gonna run some smaller groups to try to make sure the kids stay on timeline and get what they need. All right. So with many thanks, we have a lot of programs coming this summer and to fit all the needs of the community and our population. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope I didn't take too much of your time.
And is it okay if I just add one thing that I hope would have been mentioned also that should be mentioned? This is a reduced program. If you remember, for the last few years, we had one-time funds and really expanded our summer school program. This is designed to be a more sustainable model under the leadership of Ms. Rashikshi and Mr. Luongo in collaboration with site administrators. They developed a program that maintains and even adds to a lot of those programs that should be sustainable for years to come. So I think it's really admirable what you all have created. So thanks for that.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I wish we had videotapes of like 5 years ago and look back I mean, the progress that's been made by this team, putting together what we do in summer, let's say 7, 8 years ago, there was a time, first of all, we're not required to have anything other than credit recovery for high school, like technically. But this district has always focused on K-12. And I think, again, kudos to the board because that's different. That's different. But just every year they keep increasing opportunities and finding different ways to connect kids to school. And I just want to thank you guys for doing such a great job. Besides, we have people who are willing to do this over the summer. It's their only time off. It's like they've got 3 weeks off and they're doing this. It's just great to have our own awesome people doing it. Thank you.
Dolly, Gary?
Oh, yeah. I just had one simple question. Why does the middle school start on the 12th and have 14 days and the high school has 18 days and starts on the 7th?
We're not required to have. It's extra. So it's like how many days you want them there and how much, what funds do you want to allocate?
Oh, and of course, the high school kids can still get 5 units and 5 units, even though it's 18 days, correct?
That's correct.
Trustee Howard, then Trustee Kuziak.
So thanks. It's a good presentation and it's a good plan for sure. But I have 2 questions. One is how many credit recovery students are you anticipating?
We have not seen those numbers yet at the high school level.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of those numbers are based on, hopefully it'll be, we get grades at the end of the semester. So it really depends on how they finish out the year. So it's hard to predict the exact number. Be a little less than last year, hopefully.
Yeah, we want none, but
Exactly.
that's the goal. And the second one was sort of what Jason touched on, and that is, what is the budget for the summer school and how are we funding it? I mean, it's a pretty extensive program. Even though it's smaller this year, it's pretty big.
And Ms. Chan can probably correct me if I'm off at all, but in the past, we've used a combination of general funds, a little bit of LCFF, and added ESSER funds to that pot. The ESSER funds are gone, so that's part of the reason why we see the reduction sections. Instead of 3 elementary schools, there are now 2. Some of the programs we needed to shave off, we shaved off. So all of the programs now are either funded through general fund or through LCFF.
Just a correction on that one.
Okay.
So we do have the last part of the ESSER funds for this year. So this is actually the whole program is going to be funded by ESSER funds. After this year, then it's back to general fund.
We'll have some decisions to make for next year.
I'm sorry?
ESSER funds are used this year for this program because we still have some left. But unless the federal government or the state gives us some more funds for summer school, it'll have to come from general fund. So you have to make some decisions for next year.
Is there a ballpark number of what it costs? Is it $1 million? Is it $100 million?
It's $775,000.
Trustee Kuziak?
You're awesome, Susie. I'll just say that. Right?
Give her a raise.
So I just I'm a big fan of Step Up to Middle School. My family needed it, and I'm happy that our district does that, and reflecting on just the amazing people we've promoted tonight and the quality of our employees. Marion Meadows is a treasure, and I'm a fan. So I wanted to get a sense of like how many students would be impacted. So I'm just like ballparking we have about 2,000 middle school students between the 2 middle schools. Of those 2,000 middle school students, how many of them will be in our program this summer? Will we estimate? Like 100 of them? Is it?
No, more than 100. They're trying to get 90 just for step up. So,
Okay.
yeah, so if each step up.
But just for
but
like the middle school,
yeah,
the summer school program.
I would say middle school program, I'm going to say we're going to hit like 300 will be
So
of like
about 12% of
200.
maybe our middle schoolers need an intervention like this.
Just, but some of them, yeah, and some of them will provide support as needed, right? Like we'll have movement a little bit on my numbers. Like you may only need math, right?
And I wanted to
So-
ask about that.
Yeah.
I thought it said it was like math and English, but what if it's an or?
Right, so it's it could be an either or.
Okay.
So you may only attend one session, so you may not cross over, right? So then there might be another kid that needs English that's in that other session. So then you're getting 2 kids.
So
in that one.
so if you're asked to go to to summer school, you may not be there the entire time.
Right, that's the point we're trying to work with.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We'll work with your schedule.
I mean, and that seems like it makes it a lot more edible, if you will. I mean, from a summer plans type of view.
Yes.
Only have to go for half a day. Okay. My only other question was for the elementary program. Are we offering lunch? Are we offering food? We are offering food.
Yeah, grab and go.
Okay, thanks. That's it.
Trustee Raymond?
My family also benefited quite a bit from the Step Up Middle School program last year, so I'm glad that's still going to go forward for another year. A quick question about, I guess, the schedule. Is there going to be any on-site aftercare or before care for kids? Because it's such a truncated day, and parents drop off, go to work. I'm wondering is there any planning for that?
For elementary, yeah, each site will have 2 different options. At Independent, we have Adventure Time. I think Stanton has Kids Care or something like that. And then both sites will have Play CV as well.
Okay, great, thanks.
And then in the middle school level, we haven't necessarily offered that, but I know Play CV has some programs that some of the kids will be just walking to because they're a little older. And then we are also working, some of our elective kids that are working at the elementary schools also maybe helping out with the students over there after. So we have some options and we are flexible. Play CV said they are flexible to bring on some of the middle schoolers if necessary. So
That's great. Well, thank you all so much. Sorry you had to stay so late. Congratulations again, Sam. And look forward to hearing how it all goes. Have a good night.
Thank you.
We will move on to item 11E, update on Measure G projects. Sharon True-Quins.
Good evening. So my presentation is brief, so I won't take too much of your time. But to start, before I go into the presentation, I just want to let you know our department's been really busy and wanted to highlight some of the things that don't show up on the slides that we've been working on. Like we've been working really hard on troubleshooting, repairing all the HVAC issues that has come up. And I think we're getting to the root issues and we are close to resolution on that. And we're, constantly checking and monitoring to make sure the systems are working, or if they're not working, we're sending folks out and really diving deep into what's going on. And these are complicated systems. So it did take a bit to get the right people into place. Another thing we're working on, some planning things that we've been working on that we hope to be able to show you later is our partnership with Tiburcio Vasquez Health Clinic and turning the wellness temporary portables into a health clinic. So we're, the board had voted on that MOU. And so we are busy on turning the facilities into the proper spaces for the clinic. And we just actually met again today just for them to measure furniture, go over some other little changes. So that's something that's been really good for us. And also we've been working on the design for the Canyon Middle School fields and looking at the cost estimates and really trying to see how we can make that happen. So that is more to come on that. So I will get into the slides now. So for Independent Elementary, we did an artificial turf underlayment for the preschool yard. And so that was one small project that we just finished. And we also finished the quad area that's at Proctor Elementary. So we had landed the 6 portables, the interim housing as permanent. And so now we finally got the artificial turf in. So it's becomes kind of a collaboration, outdoor learning, could be an eating space. So it creates more space for gathering. We also finished the amphitheater at Stanton, and also with a lot of the playgrounds doing the restriping and just kind of finishing everything up and making sure all the spaces around that area is nice. So I think the sites really enjoy that. And that's and then we get to our financials. And so we have spent 116.2 million. And we have about 4.8 million encumbered, and we're still so far doing pretty good on our budget. We are waiting on some state funding to be able to do some of our bigger projects. So now we're just working on some smaller projects until we get that, and kind of doing a lot of planning. So any questions?
And you have new members for CVUSD, and the report is coming out later, right? And we have videos that will be sharing for each of the schools.
Yes, yes. And we've been working on Measure G videos for each school site. So we're going to upload those to the website soon.
Yeah, we did have the meeting last week with brand new CVUSD members, as well as the previous members. And then we have our regular CVUSD meeting next week, next Wednesday, to review the annual report that will be presented to you next month.
Want to say, Sharon, that looks sharp, like that amphitheater. I was like, can we go play? Can we go?
They look really good.
Out there? Can we do another tour at some point? That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be good.
When I visited Marshall, they said that they had just used the their amphitheater there for like movie night and whatnot. She said, "Oh, excuse us, we haven't had a chance to clean it up yet. You know, there were little wrappers and stuff." I'm like, "Oh no, that's great. I mean, what a great addition the amphitheater is."
No more comments or questions. Thank you so much, Sharon. We appreciate you staying this long for us, and thank you for everything. We will move on to board member comments and reports. Student Board Member Hanson, would you like to share anything else with us tonight?
Nope.
Trustee Raymond.
All right, I'll be promised to be brief tonight. I think last week, Thursday was really busy for a lot of us. I got to attend the AP art show, which is really inspiring and really wonderful. It made me want to go paint things, which I always love. It was great to connect with teachers and students there and talk with them about their work and their goals for the next steps in their lives. So that was really a lovely event. Then I got to have the honor of being at the Puente year-end celebration as well. I'm so glad I took the time to go to that. It was really moving, beautiful performances. I was not able to stay towards the end because then I went over to the Masonic Hall for the Teacher of the Year award. And I was really glad to see that one of our counseling staff members got recognized during that event. Yesterday, I participated in the equity teams meeting with Segura Land Trust, which if you guys aren't familiar with Segura Land Trust, look them up. Doing incredible work to rematriate the land is what they are doing. And I'm not going to educate everybody on that right now, but I'm glad to see that our district is connected with them, and I'm looking forward to what that partnership can bring to our students and our community. And I think this was in the last week or so, attended a CSBA workshop on school safety, primarily with relation to gun violence and gun violence prevention. So lots to chew on there and think about and discuss as time goes by. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Raymond. Trustee Howard?
Yeah, just a few things. The chamber had its Student Citizen of the Year lunch. That went very well. I was at the Eden area ROP meeting. We had a governance workshop after that. And as Sarah just said, I was also at the AP Art Show and the Masonic Teacher of the Year event, which went very well. The madrigals were there. It was great.
Thank you, Trustee Howard. Trustee Adams?
Okay, I went to half of the equity meeting. And because I had another meeting to catch up on the CVRA. Then two, visiting the K2 classes at Marshall. I couldn't visit the upper grades because they've already started testing at Marshall. And, you have to work with the schools and, do the best you can to support them and not disturb them. And then the Masonic Teacher Awards. And it was really great to see the counselor receive the award. It was the first time it wasn't a teacher, but rather a different CVTA person win. And you could see that she was really supported by all the other staff that was there.
Thank you, Trustee Adams. Vice President Kuziak?
I haven't done anything in our schools or on behalf of the board, but the three things I wanted to just say, I'm still thinking about the girls of Iran who are being attacked for going to school. I think I'm going to ask the board for something here. I don't know if you've noticed or been following the headlines about the College Board, AP African American Studies. The College Board has decided to change the curriculum in response to the overtly racist policies of Ron DeSantis and the state of Florida. I would be interested as a board if we could do two things. Maybe a resolution just sort of showing our support for, real history, not things that bend over to the white supremacy that we're seeing emerge in certain parts of our country. But also maybe could we send a letter to the College Board and say, you know what, we're not going to implement your curriculum. We will choose wisely. I don't know if there was an intention for us to do AP African American Studies, but I would be interested if we as a board can maybe send a letter to the College Board or do a resolution, and I'm just putting it out there. And yeah, I'm letting it hang.
Do we need a motion?
I just want to remind us.
Yeah, I was going to say, we haven't even talked about,
Okay.
because we have an amazing Afrocentric literature and all of that. I would say we need to learn more, because even though that's what they said, that they changed the curriculum, there's a lot behind it. We actually work with Dr. Douglas. We can get some more information from him.
Then I will pause on that and say thank you
Yeah.
for looking into that.
Instead, let's just,
And maybe at some future date, I would ask for some
We
action.
also passed a resolution on ethnic studies,
Yep.
and we're moving forward on that. So it should include some of that in addition to what we're doing at the high school already. But let's get more information first.
I
thank you
appreciate
for
the
bringing it up.
collegiality of this in this open conversation. But yes, that's cool. And then I want to turn my attention to Dr. Ryman very quickly. Two things I want to say to you. Your work in I don't know if people get it, but your work around equity in this district has been transformative. I've seen it in impact internally and in the broader public. So I'm sad that you'll be leaving on that, but you've accomplished so much in that space. And I know we have many months until you leave. One thing I will say as a feisty unincorporated activist, it may be called the Hayward Unified School District. It serves, however, the city of Hayward, Cherryland, it serves Fairview, and it serves Castro Valley. And so I hope you will remember your unincorporated residents that you will be serving, because they oftentimes get lost and they don't get represented based on how systems of power work in the Hayward area. Maybe you want to change the name of the school district, but congratulations again. It's just amazing to see you flourish like this.
Superintendent Amati? I did not represent the board except for meet with Superintendent Amati a couple times on the board agenda and on our hard agreement. So with that, thank you everyone for your engagement, our lively conversation, and have a good night.